Thank you very much. Thank you, honorable members. Good morning for everyone who has joined in, the department and the minister. I see minister already is connected also. We are not going to waste any time. Let me welcome each and every person that has joined us today who's in connection, and also just to inform the public that is interested maybe that the meeting is using the MS Teams and proceedings are aired on the via live feed on YouTube, which any interested person or institution stakeholder may tune in to follow the proceedings. And the guests on MS Teams platform, except for those who are presenting the meeting agenda, are not allowed to interact without me recognizing them. And all members and guests to be muted so that we can avoid the background noise. And if you are done speaking, please try to mute your phone, your mic again. That will help us to hear each other. And the most important one, we use the hand to be recognized by the chair so that you can get an opportunity to talk. I'm not going to waste any time. It's our new norm. We've been interacting with each other for a very long time. So that is what makes the meetings to move swiftly. Let me not waste any time and say my name, Matlodi Maseko, the Standing Committee Chair, and allow the members to introduce themselves.
Good morning, Chair. It's Derek America here, member of the committee. Thank you.
Morning, Chair. I'm Driekus van der Westhuizen, also member of the committee.
Good morning, Brett Heron.
Okay, it seems that's the only members that we do have today. Welcome, members. Today is the last round or last lap for the year. I'm going to hand over Minister Simmers to introduce the HOD and to welcome the department also. Over to you, Minister.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Apologies for not switching on my camera, but with all the technological advances, I think the stability on the network is one of the things we need to work on post-COVID-19. Madam Chair, I'll hand over to my HOD, Jacqueline Sampson, to introduce the rest of the team, because I do believe as a collective leadership, the administration will be introduced by the HOD. But from my side, I'm well aware that my head of ministry, Wilwetu Njalo, is also part of the session. So that is the one I will introduce, and I'll always introduce my HOD. Thank you, HOD.
Good morning, Chairperson, and good morning, Minister Simmers. With me in the room is Franco Veta, CFO, and Ms. Tina Mansella, the Chief Director for Implementation. And I'll allow the other senior managers who are present in the room or in the meeting to introduce themselves. Firstly, Ms. Kamala August.
Colleagues, honourable members.
Mr. Nkosi, Benjamin Nkosi.
Good morning, members and colleagues from the department. Benjamin Nkosi here.
Good morning.
Excuse me, I apologize, Chairperson. I'll call out the names, and if it's possible, please, that the senior managers or the officials present, if they can switch on the cameras, please. Brian Denton.
Morning, everybody. Brian Denton, Director, Project Administration.
Thank you. Ms. McLean.
HOD?
Yes, Chairperson.
Yes, I think for the sake of time, because I think some of the officials, they are technologically challenged. Maybe we have to say as we move on, before they can talk, if they know they didn't introduce themselves, they can just indicate their names for the record purpose for the members to know who's talking.
Thank you, Chairperson. Can I ask Mr. Nathan Adrianse to introduce the Rental Housing Tribunal Chairperson and members who are here, please? Thank you.
That is in order, HOD.
Thank you.
Chairperson and members, good morning, and also to Minister Simmers and our head of department. We have with us this morning the Rental Housing Tribunal Chairperson, Mr. Lionel Esterhuizen, as well as the manager responsible for the Rental Housing Tribunal, Mr. Nkosana Vaveki, with us this morning. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Like Minister indicated, for the stability of our connections, the videos, we must try to switch off the videos. And if you are speaking, is that you can switch it on, but others have to be off. And always, if you are not talking, please, mic must be muted. Make sure that you see that. If you're seeing a little bit of a blue ring on your name, that means your mic is not muted. So be careful of that. I see you, HOD.
Thank you, Chairperson. May I ask, we've got two annual reports to be tabled today. One is the Department, Vote 8, and the other is the Rental Housing Tribunal. Chairperson, may I ask that we present the Rental Housing Tribunal and then we can release the Chairperson and those officials before we do the Department annual report?
Yes, that's how we are going to roll today, HOD. We'll start with the tribunal. But before that, I'm going to give the forward for the tribunal, honorable members, to the minister.
No, thank you very much, Honorable Chair. And since our last session with the Standing Committee, you would have seen vast improvements by the Rental Housing Tribunal, utilizing innovation, addressing certain specific challenges which was flagged to the department in terms of the Rental Housing Tribunal, in terms of its case backlog, but more specifically so communique matters, Madam Chair. So if without further ado, I will hand over to my HOD and ultimately then over to Mr. Lionel Esterhuizen, who was appointed the chairperson of the Rental Housing Tribunal. Thank you very much.
Thank you
very much, HOD.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, Minister. I'll also just want to give one or two introductory remarks. We have celebrated this year 20 years in existence of the Rental Housing Tribunal, and we will report on that in the next year. But as Minister Simmers indicated, we have introduced some innovations. The online case management tool, where persons can now register their complaints online. And we're also busy with renovations in our building to make it more accessible, not just for the disabled, but for the general public, and improve the service delivery to the public. So that will also, that's underway at the moment, and we'll report on that next year. I'll hand over to Mr. Nathan Adrianse, who is the administrative head of the Rental Housing Tribunal. Thank you.
Chairperson, I see that the head of department's hand is still up. Thank you very much. There the hand goes. Can I hand over to the chairperson of the tribunal, Mr. Lionel Esterhuizen?
Yes, you may do that. I think it was an old hand of a HOD. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning, honorable members and the officials of the department and the Minister. Thank you very much for this opportunity to just give an introduction to this report. At first, I also just want to acknowledge the 20 years that the tribunal is now in existence, and I really appreciate the pioneering work that went into the tribunal. When I look at the systems and the platform which exists that we can work from, I'm really very impressed and grateful for that. Also, just as far as the performance of this year is concerned, I see from the figures that the performance was very good and in line with previous years, and just acknowledging that during this financial year, the tribunal functioned with less than the full complement of members and also with less full complement of the support staff. So I think it says something to the resilience of the members and the staff to still perform and go the further mile when it's expected of them. I must say and just mention that the structure of the tribunal is such that the tribunal is meant to be independent and impartial, but it is very much also reliant on the department as far as the support is concerned. The department is the hands and feet of the tribunal. And in that regard, I can report that there is a very good relationship between the tribunal and the department as far as the support is concerned. I can just mention one of the innovations that we've done during this financial year is to get rid of, or rather to eliminate the use of paper-based system. We are mostly operating now on electronic. The department have provided laptops to the members, and instead of getting all those reports and documents in paper-based, we're getting it electronically now. So we're saving a lot of money and time, and I think it assists members also to be better prepared when we sit in a hearing. So as far as that is concerned, my thanks to the department for that support. And I think that can only just improve as we go forward. So, Madam Chair, that is where I want to stop, and I think we can respond to any questions that come from the report as the members, honourable members, go through it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I'm going to ask the members if there's any questions pertaining to the forward. Going once, I don't see any hand being raised. Members, the tribunal, I present to you part 1. I see Honorable America. Over to you, member.
Thank you, Chair. I don't know the different parts, but historically, we know that there's been a serious backlog of cases. To what extent had the tribunal dealt with those backlogs, and what's the current state of cases that's unresolved? It's one question. Secondly, Chair, the second question is with regard to the call center, and is there just difference between the queries lodged with the help desk and that of the call center, and how many of those queries or call center inquiries result into an investigation, whether there's the need to have the matter adjudicated? I'm going to stop here now, Chair, because I haven't really, anyway, we'll talk again. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much, member. I think I'm going to make it easy for the other members to present the part 1, 2, and 3, which means the whole annual report of the tribunal. You can ask any question from any section. Over to you, member Andrikas. I recognize you.
Thank you, Chair. And good morning, everybody. Chair, can I just quickly? I've got 3 questions. The first one is there a logical explanation for the decrease in the number of phone calls that the tribunal had to deal with? And is this the same phone call center than that of the Department of Human Settlements? I'm referring to paragraph 3.2.2. My next one is, I see there's also been a decrease, quite a significant decrease of the number of cases captured in the last financial year when compared to the previous year. And again, is there a reason for that? Because one would expect that the number of rental units and, in times of economic hardship, that there may be more and more people actually requiring support. And then my third and last question, Chair, is I've always thought that one of the main contributions of the tribunal is the fact that so many cases are settled when one of the 2 parties refer the dispute to the tribunal. Now, when I look at table 6 on paragraph 341, it's page 13, I was surprised to see that the number of hearings scheduled are far exceeding the number of cases settled before the hearings. And as a matter of fact, the number of cases settled has also come down. It has almost halved. To what extent can, I almost want to say, the pressure on the tribunal be relieved by a process of mediation, and what are the options of trying to decrease the caseload of the tribunal itself, and also trying to get to a quicker and far less onerous solution by using other means of bringing parties together and encouraging parties to rather settle than to eventually press on with the dispute that there may be. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't see any hand from the members. I'm going to hand over to the, sorry, Member America? Is it the old hand or the new one?
No, it's a new one, Chair. Thank you. Chair, I want to know, in terms of the number of warrants that were issued for execution, to what extent have the execution taken place? Because the tribunal probably just issued warrants, and whether there were actual compliance with the terms of those warrants, that it invariably benefit the one of the parties. And secondly, there's been always a huge number of sort of complaints by communique. What is the status of those complaints lodged by the residents of communique properties? Because it's always, last year, it's always been a major question. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Member Andrikas, new head.
Yes, thank you, Chair. My apologies. I see I left out one of my questions. Chair, the tribunal was actually quite innovative and led the way. I think in a sense we all followed them with the switch to virtual tribunal sittings in January 2020 already. And my last question is just, to what extent can we assist ordinary tenants, people that don't always have the necessary means to either travel to Cape Town or to George, or that don't even have the means to buy data, or they don't have Microsoft Teams or Zoom on their at their possession, or at their they're not able to use it. But to what extent would we be able to get the cooperation from our local governments? Say, for example, the human settlement desks at those local governments, to just give greater access to people that would like to approach the housing tribunal where they feel aggrieved. Would that be an option, to try and bring the services of the tribunal to more people and to make it easier for people to access those services? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, honorable members. HOD, I'm going to hand over to you to give direction who's going to respond.
Thank you, Chairperson. Through Mr. Adriaanse, Mr. Esterhuizen will assist in the responses, but I'll hand over to Mr. Adriaanse through you, Chairperson. Thank you.
Chairperson, thank you very much. Just in terms of the responses, if I could just deal with Member America in terms of communique and the status update in terms of communique. When you refer to the annual report on page 4 in the Chairperson's forward, we make the point that during the period June 2018 to 31 March 2020, the tribunal received 775 complaints from tenants of communique. These complaints related to exorbitant increases in rental, failure to do maintenance, and allegations of illegal lease agreements. I can confirm that in terms of the status of where we are, over the last 2 years, the tribunal has conducted numerous community engagements with the community tenants at their premises, engaged with community tenant associations who are representing community tenants. We also engaged with community. Thus far, we concluded 22 mediation sessions with various community tenant groups and individual community tenants who did not want to be represented. All these endeavors led to the finalization of 411 community cases which were closed through mediations, facilitations, and hearing proceedings. So out of the 775, we've concluded 411. Currently, there are 307 community cases which are scheduled to be finalized through hearing proceedings. What we've done from a process point of view, outside of our normal operations, which being a Tuesday, Wednesday, and a Thursday, we've set aside a Monday to deal exclusively with community. So that is the update on community in terms of Member America's question. In terms of the backlog of cases, yes, in this particular financial year, we've seen another increase in the backlog of cases from the previous year, 1,470 to 1,903. When Minister Simmers was making his introductory remarks, he already alluded to the fact that in this current financial year, we've done an amazing job in turning that around. We're currently sitting on just over 700 cases in backlog for this current financial year. So we are working on the backlog, and what we've done in terms of addressing that particular backlog is from the tribunal members, we provided specific delegations to the senior management team of the tribunal, where they are also in a position to close cases without it serving before the members of the tribunal. That's in terms of the backlog of cases. In terms of the call center, in terms of the report on page 10 of the annual report, the call center is the main entry point of access for clients to lodge complaints or inquire about the services of the tribunal. So where I have an inquiry, I call the call center. because again, when you look at the annual report, we give the various access points, the call center being one of it, email, there's fax. You can walk into our offices at Rivik Street where we are now. There's a please call me facility as well as an SMS. So this table 2, deals exclusively with the number of calls which were received during the financial year. If you page over to page 11 of the report, you see on table 3 the number of inquiries received per month. Now this would be at our help desk. So now we've escalated from where we've taken the inquiry. The citizen has now walked into our offices and they're now coming to lodge an official complaint with the tribunal. So that's the difference between the call center as well as what we do at the help desk. If I can go to Member van der Westhuizen's question. In terms of the decrease in the number of captured cases on page 12, again, referring to the forward of the tribunal, in 2018-2019, we saw the influx of cases in terms of communique. In this financial year, 2019-20, we did not see that increase in cases, and hence you'll see the decline. It is largely attributed to the communique cases which were lodged in the previous financial year, 2018-2019. The other question from Member van der Westhuizen was the issue of, on page 13, the general hearings. And I think the point which Member van der Westhuizen was raising was, what are the mechanisms that we use as a tribunal to close matters? And again, just to take the members through it, when we have an inquiry on a case is actually lodged, there is an investigation which takes place where we investigate the matter. From the investigation stage, we try to settle the matter through mediation. If mediation is unsuccessful, we then put the matter up for a hearing with the members. So what you see in table 6 under general hearings is that in this case, in this financial year, we've not had a lot of matters which served before the members in terms of mediations. Where we also assisted is in the managing of the caseload is over and above the vast number of matters which served before. We also now are using some of the members to mediate matters. So again, the staff are mediating matters as well as the members are mediating matters. So the issue of the delegations which were issued to the staff, that also assists in settling matters prior to it actually serving for a hearing with the members. If all else fails, the matter is referred to the members for a hearing. Perhaps in terms of the virtual hearings, I'll hand over to Mr. Esthuizen, just in terms of the access to citizens, given the fact that, yes, we started in January with our first virtual hearing, and also during this particular lockdown period, from June of this year, we had exclusively dealt with hearings virtually. Chairperson, if I'll hand over to Mr. Esthuizen just to deal with the virtual hearings.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, Mr. Adriaanse. I think it's a very relevant question that the member is asking with regard to the virtual hearings. It's a very good tool that we can use to assist people and prevent them from having traveling costs and so on. But through our experience that we had now through the lockdown is that facility is very hampered by the quality of the connectivity of our citizenry, particularly the poorer section. People struggle very much to have a good quality of connection with the department. I think from our side, our technology and the system that we have is good. But the problem lies with our clients, with the complainants and the respondents. The quality of their connection is very challenging, to put it mildly, and we had to, in some cases, resort to come back to face-to-face hearings to assist those people. And I think there is much to be said for that facilities to see whether we can enhance and increase the provision of that to those poorer and challenged people. That will assist us very much in actually broadening our scope and reaching those poorer people as well. That's besides our other inventions or intentions that we have to also expand the footprint of the department, of the tribunal, and getting information officers at local authorities, municipalities to assist in actually providing the service there locally. So unfortunately, it's not within the mandate and the powers of the tribunal to assist and provide that kind of infrastructure to our poorer sector. And we have to rely on the partners like, I think the member mentioned, the municipalities and other agencies that can broaden and expand the service to those people as well. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, is there a follow-up or new questions to the tribunal? I recognize you, Member America.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, one of my questions weren't responded to. Thank you, Mr. Adrianse, for clearing up the questions that I've posed. One of the questions with regard to the warrant of execution orders that were issued, how many of those warrants were actually sort of executed? Did any of the parties who benefited from the issuing of those execution orders return to the tribunal, insofar as there were non-compliance with those execution orders? Then I have a new question, Chair, and that relates to the number of default hearings. So there weren't many default hearings. Of the default hearings, how many were rescission applications emanated from those, if any, from those default hearings? And lastly, insofar as the mediation is concerned, there's a low success rate as far as mediation is concerned. Who does the mediation? Are they the members of the tribunal who are conducting these mediations, or is it an outside party who or administrative staff who conduct these mediation processes? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Honorable Andrikas, I see your hand.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Chair, I'm not sure. My impression was also that Honorable America pointed out the caseload and the backlog, and I missed the response as to what is the tribunal going to do, what is the current backlog, 90 days and longer, and what is the tribunal going to do? Because I mean, all the indicators are that the situation is worsening rapidly. The backlog was 2 years ago, about 500, and it has grown to almost 2,000 in 2 years. So it just seems to me as if we have all the indications that we are heading for a serious problem, and that as a matter of fact, we already have this problem, but we're not addressing it. And my question is just, have we been able to turn it around? What has happened in the last 6 months? Because surely we cannot continue like this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, member. I think from my side, just to add to the questions, a big chunk, as the members have said, comes from communique. Now, I just want to find out, is there any landlord from the chunk of the complaints that are there? Or maybe when we're doing mediation, is there any landlord that has the brilliant best practices that when you attend to their cases, the tribunal itself learns something in trying to deal with the numbers of the complaints that are coming from communique as a landlord? Because it seems like now the tribunal is more and more dealing with communique only with the number of cases, but they're trying to be proactive in trying to engage with communique or any other landlords. It seems it's not paying dividends to an extent that you as a tribunal or the department will wish it to be. I think that is only one. No, the second one, sorry. The second one, it will be on the organogram, the structure of the tribunal. Usually we see the cute faces that are attached to this. Why this time we can't see who's who in the structure of the HR? We just see the numbers and the positions, but no face attached. Usually it's nice for the members to see the face, to attach the face to the names, because this is a human settlements family. We roll that way. Thank you very much. Mr. Adranse.
Chairperson, thank you very much. Certainly for the next annual report for next year, we will endeavor to update the organogram with the faces so that you get to see the team behind the scenes. So we'll make that adjustment. I want to leave the question around communique and the best practice to the chairperson. So I want to leave that to the end. Can I go back to Member America's original question, which I think I addressed in terms of the backlog, and I gave an update in terms of where we are. If you go to page 13 of the report, we say there that in 2017, 2018, we had 531 cases. In 2018, 2019, we had 1,470 cases. In 2019, 2020, this financial we're reporting on, we had 1,903 cases in backlog. I made the point that, as Minister Simmers indicated in his opening remark, that we have innovated, and currently, as we stand now in this financial year, we are just over 700 cases in backlog, and we are continuing to work that backlog down. How we are addressing that backlog is, as I've said before, is that we have specific delegations which have been issued from the tribunal members, which allow the staff to also close cases which are in backlog. So the backlog, Member van der Westhuizen, again, I want to assure you that we are working feverishly behind the scenes to get the backlog down. Warrants of execution, I will get Mr. Vaveki to respond to. Member America, the issue around mediations, who does mediations? Mediations are done by the staff within the tribunal, as well as what we've also introduced now is, because we have a full complement of members at the tribunal, we are also utilizing the services of the members to assist with mediations. So I want to say that the staff are doing mediations, as well as the members are attending to mediations. Can I hand over to Mr. Vaveki to deal with the issue which Member America raised around the warrants, as well as the issue of default hearings? Once Mr. Vaveki responds to those two, we'll go to the chairperson, Mr. Esthuizen, to deal with the landlord and the brilliant best practice, the question from the chairperson of the standing committee. Mr. Baveki.
Thank you, Mr. Adrian. Sir. Good morning, Chair. Good morning, honorable members. Good morning, senior management of the Department Human Settlements. My name is Ngosana Baveki. I'm the newly appointed manager of the Rental Housing Tribunal in the Western Cape. Good morning. I'll limit my address to the two questions. As far as the warrants of execution are concerned, our role here, once a ruling has been made in monetary terms and the judgment debtor fails to comply with the terms of that ruling in terms of payment, then the citizen would come to us and we would issue the warrant of execution. Now, in the normal course of events, that warrant of execution will be served by the sheriff of the court, will be executed by the sheriff of the court. Now, our role as the Rental Housing Tribunal is to ensure that our writ is properly drafted and handed over to the sheriff. Now, honorable member, as far as we zooming into whether or not that warrant was executed to the benefit of the citizen, that information in the normal course of events would lie with the sheriff and the citizen. We don't normally get involved in that space. That's my answer to that question, sir, honorable member. If I may move to the issue about default hearings. Default hearings take place when the summons, both parties to the matter have been properly summoned and one of the parties failed to appear. Now that matter would serve before the tribunal, and the one party that is present, the tribunal members would look at the file and see whether there was proper service of the summons or the subpoena on the party that is not attending. If that is done, there was proper service, then the members are satisfied everything was properly done, then they would issue the default hearing. Would end there as far as that question is concerned, unless there's a follow-up question. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Baveki. Can we go to Mr. Esterhuizen with the final question from the chairperson?
Okay, thank you very much, Chairperson. In responding to your question, I think we must just realize that the parties that come to the tribunal, particularly the landlords, are usually where there's a dispute. So we don't really deal with the cream of the crop as far as the rental sector is concerned. It's always, and mostly, most of our landlords are the respondents in these cases. So it's difficult for me to actually tell you that there is an excellent landlord that we can highlight to say that this is best practice. Usually our experience is that most of the landlords, the big landlords, are represented by agents, and their intention is to get the most benefit for their clients, and usually the tenants are the people who are disgruntled, and they come and they complain. But just referring to the communique ones, I think I need to just give the members a bit of an insight as to why we were flooded with those complaints against communique as we did in 2018. Communique has a system whereby they adjust their rentals once a year, and that is June, July every year. They revise their rentals and then they issue notices to increase that rentals. And that happened over the last 2 years, and that then caused most of their tenants, because they were going on to a drive to adjust their rentals to market-related rentals. They had higher than usual increases, and for that reason, those tenants came and they complained. And they also complained and found themselves in groups, and that actually also just made the process of dealing with those matters a bit difficult. I can't say that we have learned and we've seen good practice, best practices. There are some areas where that the rental management from the landlord side could be improved. And as we deal with those particular issues, we do impart some knowledge to the landlords to say that this is where you are falling short and you should learn through this. And I think in going forward, the systems, particularly with Communicare, will be improved. I can also just say that during this financial year, we've learned that because of the COVID pandemic that we have here and the suffering and the economy as it is at the moment, we will see from Communicare very little increases in their rentals, and that will also explain the decrease in the complaints that we are getting from Communicare and also in general in that sector. So your question was whether we have excellence. My short answer is not really. We mostly deal with the problem cases, and mostly the landlords that come to us have certain issues, and we as a tribunal play the role in also educating and getting both parties, the complainants and the respondents, to learn from the experience that they have with the tribunal. I hope that answers your question, Madam Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yes, indeed, Chairperson, it did answer my question. I don't see any hand raised. Just a quick one. The warrants of execution, the value of warrants issued from 2018, 2019, and the 2019-2020, it was on the screen there. Maybe just a brief of how do you go about to that amount, because it doesn't say on the annual report. How do you quantify that amount to attaching it to the number of the warrants issued?
Thank you, Chairperson. Mr. Vaveki, just give a breakdown on how we got to those numbers. 1 million in 2019, and in 2018 was 1.5 million. Just give a breakdown of that, please.
Thank you, Mr. Adrianseth, and thank you, Chair. Just to put it in context, if we go to that table, you would see that the number of warrants that were issued in 2019 were 55. Now, obviously, these are rulings that sounds in monetary terms. It will say, it will have a monetary amount, the judgment amount, that's what we call the judgment amount. So if you add those 55 judgments that go into the warrant, that's the total amount of those 55 warrants that were issued. We add them up to get to that number. So in 2020, we issued 44 warrants, and if you add them up, all of them, they would give you the sum that is reflected in the current financial year. Thank you, Mr. Adrianseth. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. So those warrants is for the tenants or the landlords, or it's combined?
So Chairperson, so typically what happens is there's a ruling which is made by the tribunal, and depending on who the party was, if the landlord has to now repay the tenant, then that is the ruling. So there's a monetary amount. So in this instance, where there was a failure to refund the deposit by the landlord, so typically now the ruling says that the landlord must pay the tenant the refund the deposit. So that deposit must be refunded, and then the ruling also states that there is a interest which must be paid as well. So that is where you get the number. So if there was maintenance which was done on the part of the tenant, and again, the landlord failed to do the maintenance, but the tenant shows that I've done the maintenance, I've painted, I've renovated, I've fixed the plumbing, all of those things. So all of that cost is then in the judgment. That is how we derive these particular figures. So perhaps what one must do going forward is just give a breakdown of where that, how that amounts are derived.
Yes, I agree with you. Thank you very much for that initiation. I think that will be great for us as members to see exactly what is happening, because as it stands now, it's too confusing that you can say the tribunal, they issue the warrants of up to 1.5 million, 1.7, 1.07 million to the tenants. It's sort of, it goes towards the tenants and not more of the landlords, and it's just misinformation. It's not like that. So thank you very much, Mr. Durance, for that. Members, I think that was the last question for the tribunal. If we are in agreement, we can move forward to the department's annual report. And without wasting any time, let me hand over to Minister for introductory remarks, and then after will be followed by the HOD. Over to you, Minister.
No, thank you very much, Madam Chair. And for the year which we are reporting on, one needs to say that once again, the department has been afforded opportunity to once again improve the lives of thousands of people across our Western Cape. But I think we've also made significant and tangible strides in this difference by ensuring that it is deserving beneficiaries, which ultimately drives this department to do more, even though for the year under review, the budget got less. Madam Chair, I need to emphasize that from the onset of my tenure as the Provincial Minister, I resolved on key drivers, which I believed, together with the department, implementing it administratively will ensure that the correct beneficiaries attain these opportunities, that we can deliver them within a specific time frame, but ultimately at a radical and accelerated pace, focusing on innovation, ensuring that we integrate these communities, but also that through all our projects, we seek to empower possible beneficiaries and even the broader community, but also ensure it's job creation, but also the transfer of skills where these projects are. Now, Madam Chair, for the year under review, we once again demonstrated our commitment to creating opportunities for SMMEs with 66.74% of the HSDG grant benefiting contractors which come from the historically disadvantaged individual sector. Secondly, Madam Chair, within our targets, which we'll see later in the document, we've empowered and we've employed 156 young people versus a target of 150, so we've attained that target. We've created 1,056 job opportunities against a target of 800, so you can see this radical acceleration happening once more. Madam Chair, but I think what is crucial, and I think even for the current year under review, or next, which we are in, the part that innovation and the optimal use of ICT infrastructure has played and will continue playing in my department, it's visible for all to see, because the needs are getting more and the need for innovation is increasing our need to address that specific need. Madam Chair, as I conclude my opening remarks, one should note that once again, this has been, for the year under review, the best performing province in the country. We managed to spend 100% of our budget. We managed to deliver 16,217 housing opportunities against a target of 16,859. Through innovation, Madam Chair, we have managed to ensure that we managed to construct 1,684 units utilizing innovative building technology solutions, Madam Chair. But ultimately, Madam Chair, last year, or the year under review for which we are now appearing before the Standing Committee, has set the tone. It has set the foundation, so to speak, for where this provincial department is heading in a post-COVID-19 reality. Because innovation linked with a drive by the administration in the department, also in the ministry to ensure that we can deliver on our mandate does still occur. So, Madam Chair, with that, I thank you, and that is my opening remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before I hand over to the HOD, I'm sorry, I forgot to close up officially for in case if maybe the officials or the chairperson of the tribunal wants to leave us. It's okay with me, but through the HOD's directions. Over to you, HOD.
Good morning again, Chairperson and members. Thank you, Minister Simmons, for the overview. Minister has covered most of our performance. Can I ask the Secretary to put up the infographics, which gives a cursory glance of the performance of the department for the year 2019 to 20. As Minister Simmons indicated, we spent 100% of our budget and we performed just over 96% of our targets, which were achieved, so it's less than 4% underperformance. However, since we spent 100% of our budget, we were not able to deliver more. But also, as Minister Simmons indicated, it's not just about delivering your top structures or service sites or any other housing opportunities. It is about improving the living conditions of our citizens in the Western Cape. We also look at sustainable human settlement delivery, which looks at integrating different communities from different areas, source areas, as well as different income levels. So we look at providing housing opportunities for a range of fully subsidized as well as above subsidy or affordable housing market. The infographics presented there today indicates the performance of the different programs. Program 3 is the engine of our department and also constitutes a human settlements development grant. So there we've spent 2.5 billion, followed by program 1, 4 and 3 in the expenditure report. We've assisted, through our delivery, we've assisted all 25 municipalities with technical information and performance to support both planning and implementation. And with the declining capacity at municipalities, we see that our department is required to provide more assistance to municipalities. As an enabling environment, we're also looking at our policy, and our policy and research unit developed 2 research papers, largely focused on affordable housing, but also looking at green procurement policy in the provision of state subsidized housing. We acknowledge as Department of Human Settlements that we cannot do the delivery, particularly for the affordable housing market, without partnerships, specifically looking at non-government resources. And there we have developed great partnerships which we can replicate and reproduce in other areas. We will talk to the detail when we report on the annual report. Minister Simmons spoke about the delivery and housing opportunities, and we've overachieved, really at the bottom on the infographic, on the extended enhanced discount benefit scheme, where we've delivered 2,337 against a target of 650, and that's largely in the city of Cape Town area, where we've written off debt to those who have debt against the properties issued by the department or the city. We've also improved the implementation of sustainable building technology expertise in our housing delivery, in our housing units, where we've exceeded the target. With regards to the settlement support program, we've implemented that in 42 settlements across the province and assisted 45,000 households. We also looked at the issuing of title deeds, where we exceeded the target, 8,491 against a target of 7,000. And of course, job creation and empowerment for HDIs, we've exceeded the target, and This year, particularly because it's multi-year contracts, we'll also look at achieving that target. In summary, Chairperson, that's an overview of our performance of our department for 2019-20. Through you, Chairperson, we can go to the detail in the annual report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, is there any question from the introductory remarks from the HOD and the Minister? If not, we can continue with the annual report. I'm going to present to you the pages. Can I do it easy this way, honorable members? Just ask the question and give the page where you are asking the question, just for reference sake. So we are going to start with the general information. There's no any question, members. Member Andrikas, I see your hand. Let me start with you.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, would you like us to restrict first just to part A, because I think some of my questions may flow over to latter parts of the report as well.
No, honorable member, that's what I was saying. Just give the indication where you are as you ask the questions. I present the whole book to you, members.
Thank you.
Where only the chapters that we are not dealing with that are for SCOPA, you don't go there. But any other question, just reference, give the reference to the department where are you so that they can follow the question as you ask them. I see member Andrikas will be followed by member America, then member Brett Heron. In that way, over to you, member Andrikas.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Chair, my first question is regarding page 13. I wonder if the CFO could just explain to me, and it's my ignorance, what ops cap means. I see there's been an over expenditure on salaries, and I read the explanation, and I saw that later on there was an under expenditure on another vote, if I can call it like that, and that the money has been transferred. But perhaps if we could just understand why was that necessary. The second one on page 14, it seems to me as if the department is not making provision for accrued leave, which I believe is a sound accountancy principle, because there's been an over expenditure for leave is given as the reason for that. Then, Chair, on page 48, the title deeds transfers. I think we've done quite well, and I think that special funding given for the title deeds has been spent extremely well, and I think it's just fantastic that we've seen such a lot of progress. But my impression is that there is still a huge backlog in terms of the title deed transfers. Now, my first question is, what is the extent of this, of the outstanding or the backlog? Secondly, what is the future of this project, particularly taking into account that, according to other information, that this budget will not be given to us indefinitely. As a matter of fact, I think it's been terminated already. And then the third one is, you know, when you do bulk transfers, or you go onto a project such as this, it's 90% of the transfers are probably relatively easy and straightforward because the beneficiaries are still alive. You are able to track them and so on. But then I presume there's a percentage of deeds transfers that are very complex, in the sense that you struggle to trace the people, the original beneficiary may no longer be alive, and probably passed on without a will, and so on. So perhaps if we could just ask about how do you deal with this, and And currently, are we just parking those complex cases? And then the last three, Chair, I'm afraid I can't refer to specific pages. The first one is you do refer to a number of housing schemes that have been undertaken with the support of employers, such as APL Cartons in Worcester. But I still believe that there is a huge potential where employers who has got the necessary financial standing would be more than willing to assist long-serving staff. Quite often in the past, of the housing schemes that I know here in the Stellenbosch area, some of the big wine cooperatives, etc., at the time undertook the whole development, and their ex-employees became proud owners of their homes eventually. And it just seems to me as if that model has been put on the back burner, as if that potential is not being utilized. And I also refer, for example, to farmers that are currently providing housing on their farms, but obviously those people never have the benefit of becoming owners themselves. And I do know that many farmers have expressed to me that they would love to assist their people with proper housing. And that brings me to the next point. So my question there is just, are we going to focus on that as a potential solution also to provide a lot of housing to people? And the second last point is the whole issue of the sale of what we call RDP houses, where we know that there are limitations, but we also do know that in many cases, people just ignore those limitations and they sell those houses without registering this at any deeds office. And my question is, are there some exceptions? Would it be possible in some cases, if people's personal circumstances really change? Because what I've seen is now that a lot of these employers are now buying RDP houses, but as I've said, illegally. And it just seems to me that there is therefore a huge need either for those houses or a huge need for some people to be able to sell those RDP houses. And the next one, the last one, Chair, would we be able to just get an update on the de novo housing development? It's been a number of years since I visited that site, and it's been around for, I think, a decade or longer. And I do know that the HOD, if she has got any grey hair, a lot of them must be related to that de novo housing development project as well. Where are we standing with that project? Thank you, Chair.
Ooh, thank you very much, Honorable Member. That was a lot of questions. I'm going to hand over to Member America.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, on page 7 of the report, it states that our portfolio is unique and dynamic and needs thinking leaders to champion innovative strategies to meet the demands of our communities. Now, within that context, Chair, the department then reported that it's making positive strides in the area of community engagement. Now, the question is, has its efforts, these positive strides, resulted in a reduction in disputes and protests over the 2019-20 financial year when compared with the previous year? And secondly, Chair, it further states on page 9 that the department supplied measures government can take to promote owner-driven densification and crowd in other private investment within newly created settlements and neighborhoods. Now, which national, provincial, municipal institutions were supplied with these measures referred to in that context, and how these measures help to crowd in private investors, if there are any, and which are they? And then furthermore, Chair, I don't want to ask too many questions at a time because I'm sure you will give us another bite at the cherry. That our senior management posts that are vacant at the time in this particular report, that being the Director of Planning and Director of Affordable Housing. Can the department provide us with information on how long these posts are vacant? And did these vacancies have a negative impact on service delivery? And thirdly, when is it envisaged, if they're not currently filled, to have those positions filled, given the reduction in the cost of employment that the department has to be implemented as per the Directive of National Treasury? And then lastly, for this round, Chair, is that the department stated that it produced 2 research papers. Now, I just wanted to know, were those research papers internally generated, or were they outsourced to a service provider? And if so, who are those service providers, and what was the cost involved with the generation of those reports? Thank you, Chair, for now.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. Honourable Brett Herron, over to you, sir.
Thanks, Chair. I have questions around the research projects, and there's reference to them on pages 9, page 34, and page 42. In particular, the research on the on a subsidy for affordable installment sales. I see on page 42 there's some description of the outcome of that research, but I'm not quite sure if I understand what it says, whether the department can subsidize an installment sale agreement and at what stage. So I can get clarity on that. And then also with regards to support for backyard dwellers, I see on page 42 there's reference to densification and the use of USDG, and if the HOD or the department can just explain what the outcome of that research is and what the practical benefit is for the people of the Western Cape from that research, if any. And then I also have questions on the title deeds. This is page 11, where we get some of the figures for the performance for title deed. And I'm just asking for clarity as to whether that is a historical backlog of title deeds that we are addressing, because I assume that we're now in a phase where when a full title unit is completed and handed over, that we are handing over the title deed more or less at the same time. And then finally, on page 27, there's reference to non-credit linked subsidy and FLISP. Now, I know what FLISP is, but I haven't heard of a non-credit linked subsidy, so if I can get some clarity on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I am now going to hand over to the HOD and you'll give directions.
Thank you, Chairperson. I'll hand over to Mr. Levit for the first set of questions, particularly explanation of the OPSCAP and the over expenditure on salaries, accrued leave, and the backlog. Thank you.
Good morning, Honourable Chairperson, Honourable Members, Minister, and all people part of the meeting. The OPSCAP part is 2% of the Human Settlement Development Grant can be utilised as operational capital. So in the beginning of the year, we make provision for the full amount for OPSCAP, and that is about 100 million rand. And some of that money is being utilised to pay, for instance, compensation of employees due to our equitable share portion not being sufficient to cover our COE budget. So what happened there is that we, under administration, we normally the rental housing tribunal falls under the program administration, but they were funded from the grant under OPSCAP. So what we did is that we moved that expenditure from program 3 OPSCAP to program 1, and then we allocated the savings on the programs so that we can release funding on OPSCAP to invest in capital projects and subsidies. So that is what we've done there. This financial year, we've already moved it over to administration. We want to provide for as much opportunities that we can, and not utilizing the OPSCAP for that. And then there was the issue of accrued leave. Right, okay, government work on a modified cash basis of accounting. So on page 203, you will see that we make provision, but it is not taken into account. It's payables not recognized. And you will see there that the leave entitlements on page 203 that we know of and we take into account when we do our budget is 5.833 million rand for 2019-20. Okay, so that is the leave that people have, and if they go on pension, maybe it will be paid out to them. So we just take it into account. We don't put a lot of money there because we want to rather fund that at a later stage. If needed, we can shift it from COE. If somebody doesn't go on pension, then the money is lying with COE. We cannot move money from other expenditure items to leave, so we just move it down there. Then you were also talking about asking about the leave that we shifted money additional to. That is the previous HOD. He had a lot of accrued leave. He's from the old school, and we had to pay his leave out. So that is mostly his leave that was paid out, but we had to make provision for that, and we just shifting that money. Then the funding of the title deed restoration grant in the future. In the past couple of years, we had a business plan whereby municipalities identified their needs and their backlog in title deeds. So that business plan was funded by the department over the previous past 3 years, and prior to this financial year where everything was taken away. So those municipalities are working on their title deeds at this moment in time. We are reconciling what was paid over to them and how many title deeds they completed. But that project will not stop. It will be funded from the OPSCAP part now in future if needed. But at this moment in time, we are confident that we have enough money with the municipalities to cover that outstanding title deeds that is still there and not transferred yet. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. I'll ask Mr. Roy Stewart to give the detail on the backlog of the title deed, and further explanation I will address that. Thank you.
Thank you, HOD. Good morning. My name is Roy Stewart. I'm the Director, Land and Asset Management. Good morning, Chairperson, Minister, honourable members and colleagues. In terms of the title deed backlog, just to put it briefly into perspective, we currently have a backlog of, in terms of our reporting, we have a backlog of around 58,000 that we have assessed. We reconcile the download from National, which is obtained from the HSS, and we reconcile it with our title deeds report that we get from the deeds office. And in terms of our backlog, it's approximately 58,000. What I can report is, since the program has started, we've handed over approximately 42,000 title deeds thus far, And to date, we are sitting with that 58,000. We have revised our strategy. We've had about four senior staff members, 3 assistant directors, and a deputy director working on this project. But due to the funding, their contracts were not renewed. But we've taken a different strategy, and we've looked at the 7 municipalities that have the highest outstanding title deeds, and we've engaged them, and we've had sessions with them over the past 3 months. And this has given us a more in-depth insight into the individual cases. And as the honourable member has indicated, that these are mostly the difficult cases, that the beneficiaries are either not in the properties, or they are estate lates, and those are the mostly legal issues that we are battling with. Those matters will be addressed through the dispute resolution process. National has not given us an indication of what the format of that dispute resolution process is. We were, two years ago, we were looking at the housing ombudsman to assist us in terms of that, but that doesn't fit into the mandate of the housing ombudsman. So we then looked at another option to get a quasi type of tribunal to look at these matters. So we're currently looking at a mechanism that we can put in place, because the decision that is going to be taken there is going to be a final decision, and also an appeal process has to be built into that. So that's in the dispute resolution process. We have over the years looked, just to get the numbers rolling, we've looked at the low-hanging fruit and that which we can push through. So the numbers have been, in the past, have been huge in terms of those title deeds that have been delivered. At this point in time, there is sufficient funding, as the CFO has indicated, for us to deal with it through the OPSCAP program, and also the monies that are still at the municipality. Those monies are still going to help assist us into from 1 April 2021. That is in essence my report on that title deed. If there's any further questions, I will deal with it.
Thank you, Chairperson. May I continue?
Yes, you may continue.
Thank you. There was a question around FLIS, and previously, particularly farm owners could access housing opportunities to buy houses for their farm workers. That the FLIS is the Finance Linked Individual Subsidy Program that is linked to a bond. And according to the Housing Code, you may only use the 4 banks. We have our own policy that we've developed in the Western Cape, which we refer to as employer-assisted housing policy, where any employer can provide funding or resources or land to assist their farm workers or any other employee. And in this instance, it's only focusing on 3,500 to 22,000 household income, traditionally those who will qualify for the FLIS. So those are the partnership arrangements that I referred to in my opening remarks. So there is an opportunity, and it is being implemented. One example is in Stellenbosch municipality, in the Iris Valley project. And we can provide detail that's currently in this current financial year. So it's not the financial year under review at the moment, but we have adjusted and we have our own policy in the Western Cape to provide for employer-assisted housing opportunities. Thank you. If I may, Chairperson, continue to the sale of subsidised houses. There are preemptive rights in the Housing Code, so no one may sell a house within 8 years without permission from the department. The department assessed that there's a set of criteria which we apply when there is an application to be exempted from the preemptive right clause, and that enables that owner to then sell the property legally. However, we are aware of illegal sale, and through our communication especially ministers' road shows, and whenever we hand over a title deed, we advise the owner or the new owners not to sell the property illegally because they may not get the full value of that house. And we also include that in our housing consumer education before a house is handed over to an individual. But we are aware, and together with National Department, we are looking at how we can address that. There isn't a policy in place at the moment, other than the preemptive right that prevents the persons from selling their property, but they have to get permission from our department. Thank you. De novo, Chairperson, through you, may I hand over to Krishan Chandakar to deal with the de novo question, member Pandadesta.
Good morning, Chairperson, members, Minister, and colleagues. Shane Chandakar, Director Planning. Chairperson, the de novo project is split into two portions. The first portion is in the implementation phase. It's a rectification of the current 72 structures on the site, which is underway at present. They're currently in the second phase, the second batch of that rectification. The first batch was 14 units, and it was taken as 14 because we needed to erect prefab structures to move the people into, as well as ablution facility and storage facilities. The second portion of the project is managed by the Planning Directorate, and it's largely for the development rights for 300 new opportunities and possibly an agri-village concept on the site. The project steering committee has been set up with the leadership of that community, so that is functioning and regular engagements are held. A power of attorney has been obtained from the Department of Public Works as the landowners of that site, as well as the facilities on the site. We have appointed an entire professional team of planners, engineers, architects, environmentalists last year who have been hard at work trying to get the development rights for this project. At present, they are busy with the water use license application. They're currently doing some groundwater tests on the site, and what we are, as well as the EIA, and we are currently looking for formal adoption of all departments on the proposed site development plan, especially since it might have agricultural implications on the water use of that site. And we are also seeking an agreement between Stellenbosch and the City of Cape Town as co-clients on the project on their availability of bulk services for the project. We were intending to have the development rights in place by August 2020, but due to the COVID lockdown, we envisaged the next date for completion of all development rights, the EIA, the water use license, etc., by March 2021. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Krishan. We'll continue with the other questions. The community engagements I'll ask, and they can have your answer to respond to that question and how we approach community engagements in each project. Thank you.
HOD, thank you very much, and thank you for the question as well. From the Department of Human Settlements, where we have a project which is initiated, we engage with the community that's affected, and at most times we establish a project steering committee. That project steering committee then is a liaison between ourselves, the department, as well as the community. That particular structure then has a particular mandate which it executes, and we then set up regular engagements with that structure to ensure that the community at large is informed of the development and update in terms of where we are with the development. Thank you, HOD.
Thank you, Mr. Adriansa. I'll now hand over to Ms. Kamala August to talk to private investors, as referred to on page 9 of the annual report, and talk to our partnership approach. And then further to that, if Ms. Pamela Maseko Kimbala can talk to the research projects, whether we do it in-house or not, give the detail of the research projects. Thank you.
Good morning again, and thank you, HOD. Thank you, honourable members. In relation to the partnerships, we do focus on employer-assisted housing. It is critical to affordable housing in this in our approach. What we are doing is trying to hone in on sustainable, mutually beneficial partnerships. So we engage any employer who steps forward and would like to partner with the organization, but we do insist that there's got to be some skin in the game. So an employer can't just necessarily come forward and say, these are my workers, house them. They need to say, I am putting the following on the table. I am making funding available to buy land, or I'm offering the land. I'm going to help to fund development rights. I'm going to make pay a portion of the capital. I'm going to cover registration, transfer, all of those kinds of things. And only once we see that the partnership can actually yield fruit, that it's not just government pumping in lots of money and in effect jumping the queue for workers that work with that company, we would form would enter into a partnership agreement. In the financial year that we're discussing, the department formalized a partnership initiation document where we enable potential partners to indicate the context of the partnership they're proposing, how many workers they're looking at, and the different beneficiary criteria. So, for example, how many are within the BMG market earning less than 3.5? How many fall within the prime affordable housing or the difficult middle of the gap, so earning less than 12? And then how many are significantly more than that, so that we can tailor a response to the demand. What we're seeing on some of the projects that we've run recently, or some of the screenings that we are doing recently, is that in some cases, there are actually more people who qualify with the banks than was anticipated. But of course, the flip side is in areas like Breeder Valley, you can potentially find that a number of the farm workers don't qualify, and we then have employers stepping forward to do that. HOD, we have, it is mentioned in the annual report, but for a partnership in Langeberg has been pushed, and in this particular partnership, we're working with different farm owners. There's approximately 288 on 4 particular farms. So these farm owners have come forward. They've already put in place a project initiation document. It's been endorsed by the EXCO, the partnership EXCO of the department, and now further engagements are happening with the municipality and with each of these different farm owners in terms of what they will consider. These farm owners, for example, have come to the table and said they may potentially buy land. They will contribute to potential shortfalls. They'll consider pension-backed loans and partnering with financial institutions in that regard. They may guarantee the deductions and installments from their workers, all to sweeten the deal. And that's the kind of initiatives we look forward, or we try to push when we look at employer-assisted housing. Thank you, HOD.
Thank you, Ms. August. Can I hand over to Pamela, please? Thank you.
Thanks, HOD. Good morning, members. In the question on whether the research papers that were conducted by the directorate, whether they were done internally or outsourced, the answer to that is that both research papers were conducted internally in the directorate, and they were each led by one of the deputy directors, assisted by an ASD. One of them was about 130 pages long, took about a year to complete that, and another one was just over 30 pages long. So that's the first answer to that. In terms of the outcome, as asked by Member Heron, I think on the deferred ownership paper, perhaps I could just indicate that there were 3 questions that paper, this is the long one, which is about 130 pages long, that the paper sought to answer. So the first one was whether early subsidization could be introduced for deferred ownership. The second one was whether the FLISP can be provided before the point of transfer in a deferred ownership context. And at this point, there was a
time when quite a lot of service providers were approaching the department, asking us to give them flip subsidies for selected beneficiaries then they would build properties for. And obviously, in terms of policy, that wasn't allowed. So we were trying to figure out whether, under what conditions would that be possible. And the third question that was tackled in the research paper was whether should governments apply subsidy units directly or via an arm's length approach using other entities. So all of this was done taking stock of what has happened in the past. So basically studying all the different types of deferred ownership models that have taken place, particularly in the province, through an installment sale, and also through a lease option. A lease option is what's known to all of us as the rent to buy option. So the lease option, for example, looked at what SOCO has done in the Western Cape, Housing Association of Blowberg, Amakaya Ngoku, I think in Hout Bay, and other private entities. And the installment sale options was what the Cape Town Community Housing Company was basically had enrolled in the Western Cape using funds from the NHFC and also other privately funded entities like Chartwell Finance, and I think there was one called Sentinel also. Basically, in order to answer these questions, we've had to look at the risks involved for parties involved in these entities, particularly the buyers of these entities and also the sellers of these entities. And I think in summary, I could say that we found that there were concerns around security over the property purchased, how to retain capital stakes for the buyers and money that they would have contributed over time, and taking on the responsible debt and etc. And also there were concerns that we're looking at in terms of the sellers around how they are able to enforce payments over time and avoiding politicization of these projects in certain entities. And there were quite a lot of concerns that we had picked up in the research. In terms of the findings, I could say that the research paper itself called for caution for supporting rent to buy options, in the sense that the people who would be accommodated through rent to buy kind of facilities had no protections available to them in law, as opposed to those that would have got properties through an installment sale option. So basically, anyone who provides a rent-to-buy option scheme could withdraw from it at any point, and the people in the properties then would have lost whatever capital cost that they would have paid through their rentals over time. So they weren't guaranteed that these would work. In terms of installment sale, we have subsequently found that there is a possibility of, in particular, providing FLISP, which is the second question that I was talking about, to such properties, because there is a way in the deeds office where even though someone potentially get full ownership of the property at the end of term of paying over the property, their names can be recorded at the deeds office from the inception of the project. So in a nutshell, basically, the research paper was starting to point out that we could explore installment sale options for beneficiaries using FLISP, but we would caution over it in terms of rent to buy. And thirdly, the third question related to whether government in particular should participate in these projects by offering these subsidies on their own. And again, there were quite a lot of risks related to the fact that direct supply in general, once government is involved, the experience that we had picked up through this research was that these were fraught with so many leakage issues. People would not pay what they expected to pay because there's a perception that once government is involved, people won't pay. There were issues around rent collection in general. And when people would raise specific concerns, let's say around the construction or the defects in the property, they would use that as a reason for them not to pay for these. But we found that once in the properties that have been offered at an arm's length by other entities, third parties, rent collection was quite possible, or people were able to pay for the installments in certain cases, knowing very well that there's no government involved in that. And that is a model that we, as I've said earlier on, we were starting to entertain through this paper. So these findings obviously led to the work that we're working on now. I think member Heron also asked a question around the non-credit linked subsidy. So we're taking the development then of the installment sale in particular in relation also to cash sales and pension backload, and exploring them through a reference group of over 30 members in both private and public sector, where we are basically trying to figure out under what circumstances then would we be able to delink FLISP, the requirement for a FLISP, the requirement of a mortgage from a FLISP subsidy. Currently, anyone applying for a FLISP at the moment would not be able to be awarded a FLISP subsidy if they don't get a mortgage to accompany that. So National in 2018 had released a memo which was starting to suggest that in future there could be a possibility of delinking FLISP from the requirement of obtaining a mortgage. But then they had specifically, after we had asked questions as the Western Cape Department of Human Settlements, National Department asked us specifically to work on developing what those guidelines and parameters would look like. So this is where we're doing this research now and figuring out under what circumstances would, for example, installment sale work. And we've just, as I've reported to you, we've just picked up that it's possible to give FLISP for installment sale as a specific example on inception, because buyers of those properties would be guaranteed protection somehow because their details or their particulars would be registered against the property at the deeds office. So that's what we mean by non-credit linked. And I also just said it links also to people who want to buy properties, but perhaps they've leveraged some kind of cash, or their family members or employers who are willing to pay a portion towards that property, and all they need in order to seal the deal would be a FLISP subsidy. So that's the kind of research we're doing at the moment, which is obviously would be a final output for this financial year. In terms of the support for backyarders, so the paper that we produced for this financial year in question was a proposal to the department, and the paper itself was due at the end of the financial year, which was 31st March. And unfortunately, we've been met with lockdown, and in addition to lockdown, there hasn't been any opportunity to construct housing opportunities. And also this research paper, I must also state that, is only applicable in our view to areas, or we were proposing it for areas that are new, like new neighborhoods that would have been created, not old neighborhoods. So as the department or as the directorate, we haven't had an opportunity to market this work within the department on the basis that there's been sort of a lull in the beginning of the lockdown of how to carry on this work in future, but it is an intention to have a conversation beyond us just having shared it with the HOD, the minister, and all other colleagues in the department. Thank you.
HOD, is that all questions?
Chairperson, thank you. I think the colleagues just need to be very succinct in their responses. There's one more question, the non-credit linked subsidy of member Heron, and then I'll talk to the vacancies. I'll hand over to Brian Denton to respond to the non-credit linked subsidy question. Thank you.
Is there, HOD, can you direct it to somebody else? It seems there's no connection for the official.
Can I speak?
Morning, Chair. Morning, everybody.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
If you can increase
Can you
your
hear me?
volume a little bit, Mr. Denton.
I can hear me. I'm not sure if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear
with
you.
Okay, thank you. With the introduction of the subsidy regime in 1998-99, the individual subsidy suit was introduced, which only consisted at that time of the individual credit link and non-credit link. The non-credit link basically is persons who is not accessing any credit and earning up to 3,500. And the credit link is just the opposite again, persons earning up to 3,500 but obtaining a loan from a financial institution. The credit link differs from the FLISP in that it's a flat rate of persons up to 3,500. Everyone gets a subsidy amount of 168,852, whereas in the FLISP, which is 3,501, almost deemed to be an extension of the credit link, and where persons are getting a subsidy on a sliding scale. The credit link is also linked to a loan, therefore, and it's a flat rate of 168,852 for all approved beneficiaries. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. I'll answer the last question from the set of questions. The vacancy rate. Currently, we have 2 senior managers, or according to the organogram in the year under review, we have 2 vacancies. One was affordable housing, where Carmela August, the previous director, was promoted to chief director from 1 March 2020. The other vacancy was a retirement at the end of March 2020. That position has already been filled by Prashant Chandaka in October this year. And the Affordable Housing Director, the Public Service Administration requires us to review the job description every 5 years, which we did, and we are now ready to advertise that vacancy. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, HOD. I recognize Honorable Lily. Thanks for joining us. Over to you, sir. Member Lily, can you hear me?
Thanks very much, Chair. My question, Chair, is around SMMEs and the big businesses. Can the community be provided with a copy of all companies that got contracts from the department since 2014, including SMMEs and big businesses? That is my first question, Chair. Can I continue, sir?
Yes, you may continue, Honorable Member.
The other question for me, Chair, what innovative solution have been implemented? And what caused the vacancies, and what the progress has been made to fill them? Maybe I must stop there for now, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Honorable Maran, over to you, sir.
Thanks, Chairperson. Mornings to everyone. Chair, it's basically a question. It's a follow-up on a question that was already been asked, Chair. Just wanted to check because the title deed, Chair, and the response from the director saying that, and he said, Chair, that there was basically like in 3 to 4 officials that have dealt with that particular issue, but their contracts were not renewed. Chair, so does it mean there's no one dealing with the title deed issue, or have new contracts been signed maybe with other officers to deal with that particular issue? He was also saying that there is sufficient funding with municipalities and with the department, I think until 2021, to deal with the title deeds issue. It was just, my concern was just that these officials basically whose contracts has not been renewed, whether there's anyone that's currently dealing with that particular issue. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Honorable Members, is there any follow-up from your questions? I don't see any hand. That means members are happy with their answers. One additional thing, Minister, if there is a question that you feel you want to add to the answer, please just give an indication so that you can have a bite. I'm going to hand over to Minister Simmers before the HOD.
No, thank you very much, Madam Chair. And I think it's been quite a few interesting questions, but I think what stood out for me, because it speaks to our responsibilities as members of the legislature, irrespective if we are members of the executive. I think Member America asked earlier on regarding community engagement and its impact, and if there's examples that one can make where our engagements have assisted. Now, Madam Chair, I don't know if you can recall last year, we had an incident in Veldrift where units were damaged. I mean, other social amenities, which doesn't even fall under my department, were totally destroyed by specific political parties, members in the Veldrift community, to such an extent that no beneficiaries could actually move into the units which were not damaged. And as part of our community engagement plan, actually my department and myself, we went through to the community of Veldrift. We launched a task team, Madam Chair, to seek to find out what is the real problem, because there's a problem and there's the perception of a problem, which is ultimately something the task team also came to the conclusion to. And that's a practical example of where, through our community engagements, Madam Chair, and Veldrift is a good example to use as such, where we managed to resolve the concerns. The task team, which I formed, the duties came to an end earlier this year. And yesterday we handed over the last 10 remaining homes. The homes were repaired, the issues were addressed. But all of this stems back to us actively engaging the communities, listening to them, Madam Chair. But I think what stood out for me is the importance of members of the legislature, even members of the standing committee, that where they become aware of community concerns, and I need to emphasize valid community concerns, by department or even myself as the provincial minister, I do not have a problem to engage communities, Madam Chair, because I do seek to find solutions. And I think moving forward into the post-COVID-19 era, that is exactly what communities will expect from us. How do we come with a solution to them, not worsen the problem? So it's a practical example of active community engagement and where we have assisted the community resolving an issue and ultimately leading into the correct beneficiaries getting the opportunities for housing opportunity as well. Madam Chair, to come back to the matter of title deeds and the title deed restoration grant, we are aware it's in its final year. Funding was sent through to municipalities. Obviously, even last year I approved the rollover because a lot of municipalities are dealing with very difficult historical title deed backlogs, and to resolve those issues is not a quick fix solution, Madam Chair. And I think listening to the CFO when he stated that there was sufficient funding, I think up until the end of the 2021 cycle, that is, I think, the funding that he is referring to, just so that members don't get the illusion that there's daar is nuwe geld. It's not new funds. It's money that I approved last year as part of the rollover into the current financial year. And once again, through active engagements, but this time with municipalities as a stakeholder, Madam Chair, we have requested municipalities to start now really in all earnesty focusing on spending their funding, which was allocated to them and approved for rollover, because this was in its current format, the title deed restoration grant in its current format is coming to an end. As the CFO also alluded to, moving into the future as a province, a portion of the funding from the HSDG grant will be utilized for that purposes, but there is no additional funding that will come from the National Fiscus, but we are solution-orientated, not problem-orientated, Madam Chair, which I think is also something that the members of the Standing Committee needs to start realizing, because we are trying to find solutions. But some of these solutions do not only stem from what we as a department can do, but also our other stakeholders can form part of that possible solution, because once again, this all relates to Member America's original question regarding community engagement, but we need to expand on that and find that more solutions will come from us as a department engaging other stakeholders as part of our solution moving into the future as well. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. HOD?
Chair, who are those some members?
Honorable Member Maran.
Because the MEC was saying that there's some members that they should start realizing that we are solution driven, as if they are not. Yeah. So we would like to understand who are those members.
Honorable Member Maran, let's work the same way that if you have a follow-up, you raise the hand and you do that so that we don't have a dialogue, and we will be very much progressive in dealing with issues and their responses. As you see, you need more clarity or more information about the response. So you've been doing well throughout. This is the last day of the annual report. Let's continue that way. I will give you the chance again after they've answered some other questions so that you can do the follow-up to that question. Is that in order, Honorable Member?
It's in order, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Over to you, HOD.
Chairperson, thank you. There are one or two questions that haven't been answered. The first one from Member Lily regarding SMMEs and the detail of the appointments and the HDI companies, both on contractors and the professional services that we employ. I'll ask our CFO to respond to that. The answer, there's a comprehensive list on page 236 of the annual report, the list of companies that we appointed, and the list of professional services on page 138. Thank you, Chairperson. Mr. DeWitt.
Chairperson, my introduced already answered that question, but just to say what the percentage was 66.74% audited. Went to HDI contractors and consultants for the year under review. Just on the contracts, the question is welcome there. 24 out of that 30 contracts that was expired were reappointed after a recruitment process was followed. In terms of public service regulations, we can only appoint a person on contract for 1 year additional to the establishment. We're also re-looking on the contracts that we had, because when you do contract appointments, it's normally for a specific purpose. It's not an immediate need. So some of that need might not have existed anymore. But 24 out of the 30 were reappointed. Thank you. That is also why there's such a high turnover rate of 14.7%. It's because of all these contracts that come to an end and then we reappoint. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. That covers all the questions.
Thank you very much, CFO. I'm going to hand over to Member Maran. You had a follow-up before we continue?
Look, Chair, yeah, thanks, Chair. Look, just on what the MEC raised, and I'm glad now that it seems that all our houses in Velderwe has now been handed over to the beneficiaries. But he started off by saying that some political parties' supporters have damaged some of those houses, whatever the concerns was. And he was saying that as members of this legislature, whether you are on the executive or an ordinary member, whenever you are heard about problems within communities, we should bring it forward so that it can be dealt with. But the MEC forget, Chair, when we visited the West Coast not so long ago. And the meeting we had with the Vredenburg, the Berg River councillors, mayor and speaker, and all of them over there, the issues, say, in that particular project has nothing to do with other political parties. It's between the department and the municipality where they could not agree who the real beneficiaries are. That's the issue. Nothing to do with other political parties. But if the matter has been resolved, say, in all houses has been, because the municipality, for instance, forwarded names, say, of which they could not been approved because some of them did not qualify, but they insist that those beneficiaries or those people be part of the project. So that was the real issue, nothing to do with other political parties. But I'm glad that the MEC is now saying that they have dealt with the issue and that all houses, it seems, has been handed over. It's not necessarily a question, Chair. I just want to clear that particular issue.
Minister, I see your hand.
Madam Chair, no, thank you. And I just need to contextualize my original input when I use Veldrift as an example. It is a known fact that the community marches and the unrest which led to the destruction of a soup kitchen and the damage of 53 of our units was a specific political party, because the memorandum which was handed over to the mayor at that stage carried the name of a specific political party, Madam Chair. So I just need to contextualize what I meant by that. So I do not say something without knowing all the facts. Madam Chair, secondly, the issue could be resolved because there were various allegations labeled by the specific political party. And ultimately, the final report of the task team showed that 99% of the beneficiaries, which originally the municipality actually identified as qualifying beneficiaries, were the real beneficiaries, with only 1% of the beneficiaries, Madam Chair, not being the proper ones, and that was rectified by the municipality. Madam Chair, but also what I've learned through that, Madam Chair, it is once a specific political party tries to interject their view of how government should work. And to use an example of Veldrift again, where individuals wanted a 50-50 split based on race, which is even against the national housing code, Madam Chair. And this is all the stuff that we picked up during, and that's why I use Veldrift as a very good example, where when certain political parties try to push an agenda without knowing all the rules and regulations which guide our department, Madam Chair, they do tend to incite actions from a specific segment of a community, which in Veldrift's case, so the destruction of a soup kitchen, it saw the damage to 53 houses with a repair cost of just well over 3 million. And that's why I used it as an example, Madam Chair. But that is also why I asked, and I used myself as an example, because I'm also a member of the legislature, that when we engage communities, that we become solution orientated and not speak into the narrative which is driven at a specific moment in time. Because even as a member of the legislature, Madam Chair, we are empowered with all the information that will equip us to engage these various communities. And I can happily say that the specific party I'm referring to is not even part of the standing committee as we speak, Madam Chair. And that's why I'm using Veldrift as a good example, because there we saw a whole of society approach together with a whole of government approach, ultimately seeing us unlock this deadlock, ensuring that the people can now move in, Madam Chair. And that and that issue now in Veldrift is resolved. There are other examples I can make across this province where we have engaged and also found a common way forward. And that's why whenever we go through our outreaches, Madam Chair, we invite members of the standing committee along with us to these community meetings and so forth. Because ultimately, for me, it's irrespective of which party we come from. We all want the same solution. And that solution must be based on the premise of the rule of law and the housing code and all other documents which emanate from it, which guides me as the provincial minister and which affords you the opportunity to exercise maximum oversight over the executive member, but also over the department. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable members, is there another question? I said I tabled the whole book, excluding the finances and the. I see Honorable Member America.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Minister, for contextualizing the question surrounding community engagement in Veldrift, and I think it is it's a appropriate example of the proactiveness of the department in resolving disputes. My question, Chair, relates to, I mean, on all indicators the department has done very well. On one particular question, the department did not fare so well, and that relates to the percentage paid to contractors representing women. I mean, has done poorly in the past financial year. Similarly, those that represent the youth within the sector. What were the reasons for it? Is there particular capacity constraints from those sectors to become meaningful players in the industry? And I know the department in the past has made representation to the standing committee as to what the department is doing to enable and empower those sort of sectors to become more engaged with the delivery of services. And then lastly, Chair, and I think that it relates to the number of debtors whose outstanding balances have been reduced to zero. Now, the target was 650, and the department has exceeded that target by an amount of 259%. My question relates to that, is that how did it happen, one, and two, did it present the department with liquidity problems as a result of this enormous increase in the reduction of debtors? And I'm going to stop there, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. I recognize Honorable Lily.
Thanks very much, Chair. I have other question as well, Chair, in relation to paragraph 2. What caused the delays? What is the update as of today? Has the water been connected?
Yeah. I'm sorry, Honorable Member, you are not clear. Can you move towards your mic, please?
Okay, Chair. All right, thanks. I'm saying, Chair, that the next question for me would be on paragraph 2, Chair. What caused the delays and what is the update as of today? Has the water been connected? And number 2, Chair, what are the details of these communities? Let me stop there, Chair, for now.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. I don't see any other hand. I think from my side, I think the standing committee engaging with the department throughout doing the quarterly reports and also some of the issues that we have called the department to come and account. It's sort of in the annual report that we anticipated what is it that is going to be here. Now, from me, what I want to find out in the APP of 2018-19, and I want to add to the question of Member America. There were strategic changes that the department implemented or indicated that they're going to happen. And it was from the strategic goal of creating enabling environment to stimulate job empowerment opportunities for contractors with HDI women and youth representation. Then it's changed to create enabling environment of the creation of job and empowerment opportunities. That was from the APP of 2018-2019. Now, I have tried to see on this annual report for this financial year, what is the indication about that, the creation of the job. And I saw that under the 4 keys, which we appreciate, that were identified, there is a radical empowerment and job creation. Now, when you see that as the key drivers, and then you go to the outcome you want to see, because this is what has been in the mind of the department throughout the financial years. You want to see the value to that statement, that how far has the department gone. Then you look at the targets of the job creation and you see is there. But what is important to me is how many are there? And I know you don't do the permanent jobs, but how many are there women that are there and the youth that are there? Do you see the increase and the challenges that are there? Because it's not always that I see the challenges on the annual report of the department to say what are the challenges that, as we do the oversight also, we can, as we engage maybe with the communities, we can talk to that. But there's no any challenge, but the numbers are not talking to that. So if we can hear from the department, what are the challenges that the number that we anticipate is not there all the time, that you can get the women contractors being in the mainstream also, or the number of the youth being in the mainstream. Thank you very much. I see Minister is flickering his mic that he wants to come in before the HOD. Over to you, Minister.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I know this is a point of discussion which is normally intriguingly exciting at the annual report for a specific reason. Madam Chair, when we look at women and youth in construction, and I mean, the more administrative answers I'll hand over to my HOD, but what we need to understand, and earlier on, Member America asked a question relating to community engagements. One such engagement, Madam Chair, is where municipalities have an LED unit, which ultimately builds up a database of individuals that register to be on their database. So should an opportunity arise in a specific project, be it from human settlements or any other provincial or national department's program, that there is a database that can be utilized by the approved main contractor, which ultimately then can utilize, in this case, women and youth in construction. The problem that I've picked up, Madam Chair, when I engage communities, and this is also a topic that I normally get in my community engagements across this province, is that firstly, our women and youth, they sometimes fail to register to be on the database, or they do not keep their SARS matters up to date, which then excludes them from this opportunity once it's opened up for them. So that's just my input before I hand over to my HOD for more thorough unpacking of what I've just said. But it is concerning, Madam Chair, that opportunities are created, municipalities are creating and communicating these opportunities, but the processes to unlock and open the door to the opportunities, that is, from my observation, where the speed bump in the road comes, so to speak, to accelerate our numbers, more so amongst women and youth in construction. Thank you, HOD.
Thank you, Minister, for that introduction. I'll hand over to Ms. Pilar to give a comprehensive response. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson, members. Good morning.
On page 55 of the annual report, there is a performance report in terms of how we fared on these two indicators. It is indeed correct that we have not managed to deliver on to meet the targets for the past financial years, but it is not because of a lack of trying from our side. We had put certain interventions in place to try and get the women contractors and youth contractors to participate. We even put out a framework just purely for women contractors, but even in that, we failed to attract enough contractors of women and youth representation. We have, however, engaged with our public partners. We've got an agreement with NHBFC as well as CIDB. And over the past financial year, we undertook some training where we set aside a week to train the women contractors as well as the youth contractors. And before lockdown, we had also set out to go out on road shows and actually participate and encourage youth contractors to participate in the human settlement space, but unfortunately we had to defer that. Another intervention that we have now undertaken to do is we're engaging with the National Department of Public Works and Infrastructure to implement the Vukile program. We had our first engagement with the colleagues from National 2 weeks ago, and we're planning to finalize a business plan which will be implemented from the 1st of April next year. This will seek to, one, empower the existing contractors that are on our framework, because we have also picked up that even those that are on our framework are struggling to progress. So we will be bringing in mentors who will look into supporting the existing contractors. But the Vukile program will also look at the new entrants and how we can facilitate new entrants, particularly the youth contractors. And we plan to implement that from the 1st of April next year. There is also a challenge, Chairperson, just around the provincial, the preferential regulations that were declared invalid. We note that the National Minister of Finance has been given a year to review the regulations to make sure that they are in line and they comply as per that order. We inquired about the status of the regulations, and we advised that because of well, it's not an appeal really, but the fact that the minister has given an undertaking to review that we may continue, but it still poses a challenge for us because it has been declared invalid by the courts. So that we're working around that to try and see how we can still make sure that we attract the contractors with women and youth representation without necessarily being found foul in terms of the regulation. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Chairperson. I didn't understand Member Lily's question, and through you, Chair, may I ask that it be repeated, please, so we can respond to it?
Okay, we'll do that. Member America, can you please repeat the question?
Yeah. Lily. Sorry, Chairperson.
Chair, the question relates to the amount of debtors whose balances have been reduced to zero. So my question is that it's a significant amount over and above the target that was set. Did such a huge reduction impact on the liquidity of the departments? That's the question. Thank you. And how did it come about that there was such a huge overachievement in that particular target? Thank you.
What page are you on, member? Can you refer them to the page?
61.
There we go.
Okay. Then the department is sorted. Over to you, HOD.
Thank you, Chairperson. I'll ask CFO to respond to that. Thank you.
Chairperson, thank you, and thank you, Mr. Member America. All right, okay, just to come back on the liquidity part, the department is not a business, so this is a cash-based accounting, so it doesn't affect our liquidity. We're getting funded from the National Treasury and so on, so it doesn't affect our liquidity, but it would have affected the liquidity of the municipalities, and that is where it comes in. And I'm glad that you link that one to the liquidity, because when you write off something there's cash against that. The title deed restoration grant, when we discussed this with the National Department of Human Settlements and the challenges that we experienced with the pre-94s, they allowed us to utilize the grant to, specifically when we write off those debts, and also to issue clearance certificates so that the municipalities don't get into a financial, too much of a financial difficulty in implementing that program. So especially the city of Cape Town, they did 1,889 of those difficult cases that they struggled to get through. So that is the reason by engaging with the National Department and allowing us to use the title deed restoration grant for the pre-94s. Thank you for that question.
Thank you so much.
Chairperson, may I ask Member Lily to repeat his question? We didn't understand Member Lily's question earlier regarding water connections or delays caused by non-connection of water.
Okay. Member Lily, can you please repeat your question? Member Lily, are you still with us?
I'm still here, Chair.
Okay, if you can repeat your question to the department, you were not clear. We'll appreciate it.
All right, so let me repeat them. My questions were around which paragraph? From paragraph 2 and paragraph 3. What caused the delay is the update of today has water been connected. Number 2, Chair, which is on paragraph 3. What are the details of these communities? And number 4, same paragraph, Chair. Why was the target missed? Number 5 from the same, which is third paragraph, number 3 paragraph. What work did the department do to densify the informal settlements and other densely populated settlements? Those are my questions, Chair.
Honorable Member, what page are you on for those paragraphs?
I think it's page 1 and 2. It's part B. It's part B and part, yeah, it's part B, Chair.
Okay. HOD, did you hear?
Thank you, Chairperson. The first question, Ms. Marcella will respond to. The second question on de-densification is not in the year under review, but we will respond to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. On the first issue around water meters, we have now resolved the issues. The water meters were installed in those projects that we could not count last year. In the city of Cape Town, it was a forest village, and in the B municipalities, we had challenges. I think it was on Tivoli School project, if my memory serves me well, but we have resolved all those issues. The main challenge there is that the municipalities are not able to keep up with the rate of delivery because we rely on them to order and install this because it then becomes their asset and they manage the water use. We have since set up a platform where we discuss the program, particularly with the City of Cape Town, to ensure that there's alignment and insofar as ordering of the meter and the installation thereof. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Chairperson. The question of Member Lily regarding de-densification, it was a directive from National Department in the current year the review following COVID-19 and the response thereto. Thank you. So we will report on that next year's annual report, or the current year's annual report, then we report on it next year. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, HOD. Honorable members, is there any other questions? I don't see any hand. Let me ask my... Okay, Honorable Lily, I recognize you.
Chair. Sorry, Chair, for asking maybe stupid questions. I don't know.
There's no stupid questions, Honorable Member. Just ask questions.
Yeah, Chair, it's on, I think it's page 3, Chair. What are the reasons for the missing targets, and what are the reasons for the missing targets? And what are the reasons for the, or whether the housing units have been handed over to beneficiaries? If not, why not? Of the housing units, how many are for rental and social housing? What is the number of service sites that are available in the province, Chair? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Let me just ask my question. And the question that I do have, it will have to do with the special planning. I think we engaged with the Department of Local Government, we engaged with the Department of Environmental Planning. And I just want to find out from the department, when the housing project come, and we talked, I think, all the time about the capacity within our municipality and all that. And my belief is that we always said, as a human settlements family, we just don't build houses. We create community, we build communities. It's not about the top structure, it's about the communities. Now, when you look in the special planning, and I'm going to make an example of Waterskloof, around the Roy Dake, there's a lot of houses everywhere. But when you get into that community and said for the special planning, and maybe for the advice from the province, where is it that is going to be the economic development where Auntie Sarah can sell the tomatoes or something as you plan the houses? Because it cannot be about the houses only. It also have to talk to the community, depending on each other and living within that community. And I think you have it nicely with the integrated development, that it has to talk to everything that I'm talking about, doing the example of the Transhex. But when you look at the other towns, small towns, especially in the rural areas, it sort of doesn't translate to what you are saying to the standing committee in creating those communities with their dependence to their environment. You see just a lot of houses that eventually becomes there is a criminal element within the community because of the economic setback. And I'm not saying that is the human settlement, but it's how we do the special planning to talk to our communities, for them to depend on it, for them to be able to think out of the box within their communities. And the key from my side, and I need to be corrected on that, it has to be about the special planning as you build the houses, to see what or how you can empower those communities to interact with their environment for their social being. But we are not seeing that in the municipalities. And I think the key player also has to be the Department of Human Settlements in dealing with those situations. Yes, the houses, yes, we salute you, you build the houses, the targets are there, and quality houses and everything that the standing committee we talked to you about, it's done greatly so. But the special planning is one thing that we are identifying that is lacking in really creating those communities to interact with their environment socially correctly so. So I just want to find from the department, as a housing project comes, as a business plan or the wish list comes, does the department for the planning goes to the environment to see and ask the questions on the planning? Where is it going to be a crèche, or where is going to be a community hall? Where are you going to create an economic zone where they can sell their tomatoes and all that? Because that is our norms, especially in the rural areas. If I can get the answer for that, I'll appreciate that. Thank you very much. HOD.
Thank you, Chairperson. I'll ask Ms. Marcela again to respond to the performance on number of housing units and service sites as Member Lily questioned, and then I'll talk to the spatial planning. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. The reasons for the underperformance, as reported on page 49 of the report, is mainly around the installation, the delays in the installation of water meters, as well as electrification. That is for the top structures. And then on the service sites, it is just around the community dynamics. We've had instances where communities refused to relocate, and they were in the way of construction. And I can cite the project in Boys Town, the project in Roydake, Iraq, as well as Jones Global, and we could not continue with the construction. That's why we only delivered 5,842 against what was set as a target of 6,486. Thank you, Chairperson.
Chairperson, with reference to the question regarding spatial planning, in our human settlements projects, we make provision for all land uses. We make provision for schools, economic opportunities, businesses, open spaces, community facilities. I'll refer the question to Prashant Chandaka, our Director for Planning, who will give a detailed response around the pipeline planning process. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, HOD. Chairperson, with respect to the pipeline planning process, how it normally works is we have technical engagements with each municipality on a monthly basis, as well as the ad hoc engagements where a specific project is being scoped. In these engagements, our professional planners in the department, they basically check whether the project that is being proposed, whether it conforms to the municipal spatial development framework, the province's spatial development framework, as well as the growth potential of town studies, etc. And then they make a pronouncement in terms of planning report on whether that project should proceed in or not, and whether it conforms to all of these norms that the HOD just spoke about in terms of socioeconomic facilities and proper spatial planning of that project, both within the project and where it stands. Then the plan, we also, before we give funding approval on projects, we also share these reports with the Department of Environmental Affairs, where they give comment on it as well. We do note that there are times when pockets of land, for example, in the Rooidakke scenario, Theobarsloof does not have a lot of land in Grabo, yet they have a massive backlog there. That's why there's quite a bit of densification that's required on the site. However, the sites for social amenities are allowed for on the site. With respect to the pipeline process, we have a very close relationship with the municipal town planners and the municipal housing officials. And at every engagement, the entire pipeline of projects going forward is interrogated, and our planners will basically say, we don't believe that that land is a good piece of land to acquire, and therefore we won't support you. Rather, proceed on this portion of land. And we interrogate every single project to see exactly where they are in terms of budgeting for development rights and budgeting for the future implementation of that project. I hope this covers you adequately, Chairperson. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I see Honorable Lily, I see your hand.
Thanks very much, Chair. My last question also, Chair, is on the last paragraph. I think it's paragraph 60. It is around title deeds. What cost breakdown of the title deeds restoration project? How much does the department spend per title deed, and what is it spent on? Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I think it was answered, but I'm going to hand over to the department to answer the question. HOD.
Thank you, Chairperson. We're just finding the reference in our annual report. We have responded to that question partially, but thank you, Member Lily, for the follow-up question. Mr. De Wet, can you respond to that question, please? We're just finding the exact response. Apologies, Chairperson and members, for the delay.
Chairperson, we've spent 64.410 million in the past financial year on title deed restorations. Thank you.
To you, Chairperson, does that answer Member Lily's question?
Thank you very much. I think maybe from my side, because I'm not seeing any hand from the members, if I can find out from the department, just overall, how does the department foresee improvement on its current performance moving forward, especially with the recent directives to the provinces from Minister Sisulu to halt developments? And the second one, it will be what changes might be needed in terms of policy and legislations to improve report outcomes with the abnormality that we are facing and the budget cuts as they happen. And maybe the last one, for the reporting period, which municipalities demonstrated strong leadership and the will to work with the department? And how can those good lessons learned be shared with others? And I was said it was the last one, but the last one, it will be the issue of the database. If we can get the indication, I know you have the desktop system, the indication of how is there the communities out there, the numbers of people that are accessing that, and then are they using that on their own, or it's only when the department informs that they are going to be in a certain area that you see that the interaction is there, but on their own, the communities or the municipalities are not using that system, innovative system that you put in place for the beneficiary database. Thank you. I see again the hand of member Lily. Is it the old hand or the new hand, member? Okay, over to you, HOD.
Thank you, Chairperson. With regards to the question relating to the director from National Department, maybe I can...
It's a new hand, sorry.
Okay, I will recognize you after the HOD, member Lily.
Okay.
Thank you, Chairperson. There are a few items in the directive. The first one relates to the rapid land release, or how we shift from providing top structures to service sites. The department has already initiated that at the beginning of the financial year. Therefore, the focus was largely on affordable housing, how we can provide less for more beneficiaries, and how we shifted our changing delivery model by providing enhanced service sites. We are busy developing a delivery model on enhanced service sites to create a specific housing opportunity, and there's different layers of it, from just a plain or lowest level service site to a platform, a water trough, and eventually a top structure, looking at alternate or sustainable building technology. We've already, in our roadshows as early as June, started communicating that to municipalities a good few months before the directive was issued by the National Department. But maybe just one point I want to clarify on the directive. The directive does not say, the directive dated 28 September 2020, which we received from the National Department of Human Settlements, does not say that we cannot build top structures anymore. It, however, states that the top structures can be built, but that there's a list of priority given, or only if it meets criteria with regards to the profile of the beneficiary. So the priority is elderly according to National Department, disabled, child-headed households, the longest on the waiting list, and military veterans. Subsequent to that, there has been other directives issued. But what we've always prioritized the most deserving in terms of longest on the waiting list, the elderly and the disabled. That was from the outset our Western Cape Department's approach. So that ties in with what we've already prioritized and implemented in our selection of beneficiaries. The shift in the delivery model has been communicated and is being effected in our business plan, which we're busy finalizing for the next financial year. Again, reminding the members that the directive is for the next financial year, 21-22, and it must be indicated in the business plan. So our policies last year, 19-20, already looked at affordable housing, and Pamela has spoken to that. As a researcher, she's given a lot of detail, and we'd like an opportunity to present our policy shifts and what tools we've put in place to enable better delivery for affordable housing market. The question that the chairperson asked, which municipalities have demonstrated strong leadership and where they are ready to absorb and implement such directive, or our shift specifically in the delivery model, we are engaging with them continuously. And as we know that some of the projects that's already in place, we have to shift towards this new delivery model. So we're working closely with the municipalities. We are providing technical support and any support required for us to shift towards this new delivery model. As well, not just to the municipalities or the technocrats, but we're also engaging communities to enable them to understand the shift and how it impacts on them. In our roadshows, which started in June, still in heavy lockdown, we have communicated through the councillors at the municipalities the shift in delivery model already, and we continuously do that in every engagement with municipalities, other stakeholders, private sector, our construction companies, our professional services. So there is again a comprehensive approach to this, where we look at the communication to all stakeholders so that they understand, and how we then implement that through our business plan, through the planning and delivery model in our projects underway and new projects planned. Thank you, Jefferson. And then the last question relating to the housing demand database, the app, the web-based application, it is available. It is as well, it is being communicated and promoted and advertised widely. At the moment, we've got all 24 municipalities, non-metro municipalities, that are utilizing it, because we already have the non-metro municipalities amalgamated database, and we could then upload the information, and then any updates are then directly done onto the housing demand database app. The City of Cape Town, however, have opted not to participate yet. We've drafted an MOU with them, and we've requested numerous times at every level for them to provide permission to integrate their data and information so that it is a Western Cape Province database. And our experience so far is that most of the queries and complaints are related to or come from the citizenry in the metro, and so it is important that the City of Cape Town provides that database and that information so that it can be one integrated provincial database. At the moment, it's excluding the City of Cape Town started. Thank you.
Thank you very much, HOD. I don't see Member Lily's hand anymore. Member Lily, that means you don't have a question anymore. I'm going to take that.
Oh, thanks very much, Chair. Firstly, Chair, I have a follow-up question on the issue of title deeds, Chair. My follow-up question there, Chair, is around the number of a backlog in the province, Chairperson. And the other question, Chair, is why was the invoice not received, and was the roller application approved, which is in number 69, what do you call it, paragraph 69. And Chair, what are the reasons for not meeting the expectation of the grant? Those are the questions that I have, Chair. Thanks.
Thank you very much. HOD, did you hear the question?
Thank you, Chairperson. I'll ask Roy Stewart again to respond to the numbers, the current backlog in title deeds. Thank you.
Thank you, HOD. Chair, as I reported earlier, the current backlog is 58,000. I did not get the rest of the questions.
I will ask Member Lily to repeat the question, the rest of the question, but I want to find out that to what percentage on the 58,000 of that backlog of the title deeds is standing with the houses that are built on the land parcel that are belonging to the Department of the National Public Works, that the land parcels still have to be transferred to the municipality. Member Lily? Okay. Member Lily, can you hear me?
Thanks very much.
Okay, the department didn't hear the rest of your question. If you can just try to repeat it.
Okay, Chair. My questions, Chair, the first one is that Number 6. What are the reasons for not meeting the expected outcomes of the grants? And what was the invoice not received? Why was the invoice not received? And was the rollover application approved? And yeah, what are the plans for the department to continue with the project now that the national government has cut the conditional grant? Thanks very much, Chair.
Thank you very much. I think it's a bit clearer now. HOD?
Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you, Member Lily, for that question. The CFO will respond to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. The rollover 78,000 was approved by the National Department of Human Settlements and was appropriated in the second adjustments budget that we had in the beginning of this, at the end of last month. The reason why the invoice was not received and paid in time is that on the 26th of March, we went into lockdown, and all offices were closed, so that invoice was then only paid in April. So they did accept that as a valid reason and allow us to roll that amount over. The conditions of the grant, I'm not sure of that one. There was one under the irregular expenditure for 401,000 Rand. That is whereby we utilized the USDG for services instead of the HSDG, and that is now subsequently been corrected, and the money has been claimed from the City of Cape Town. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson.
I didn't hear the issue of the backlog. The question that I asked, that the percentage of the backlog of the title deeds, that what percentage or what is the number? I see Mr. Stewart is raising his hand, maybe wants to answer me. Mr. Stewart?
Yes, Chair. We are currently in the process of establishing those from the municipalities, as I indicated earlier in my report, that we've engaged 7 of the municipalities with title deeds backlogs exceeding 1,000, and we've established from them, and we've had the meetings, and they have indicated to us they have properties that are with other entities where houses are on those where the beneficiaries want transfer. So what we are doing now is we are developing an action plan to establish how we can collaborate with the HDA to intervene and obtain and assist us through national, so that we can transfer these properties. We are unable at this point in time to establish the numbers that are affected by these properties. So what we will do is we envisage our action plan to be finalized by around about the 14th of February, and then we will be able to have these figures ready, and then we can submit that report to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stewart. Maybe if I can ask just the last question, it will be those backlogs of the title deeds, they go up to how many years ago? The oldest house that is being built that doesn't have a title deed in the department, it's which year? If maybe you have an answer, but if not, then we can get that answer in writing.
Chair, just a quick response. The categories are pre-94 and then post-94. The data available for pre-94 is very difficult, and that's where your question lies in, but we will be able to do an exercise for you to extract that information and then see if we can't submit that together with this report on the one that I've just alluded to earlier.
Okay, thank you very much. Member Lily, I see your hand. Or is it an old hand? I'm going to take it as an old hand. Member Lily?
Thanks, Chair. Next question, Chair, for me would be on the capital investment, which is paragraph 71. What are the details of the maintenance and repair projects? Part D, what are the reasons for the high vacancy rate? Have these posts been filled? What is the vacancy rate as at today? What are the steps have been taken to address some of the issues that led to staff resignations? Can the 12 resignations where no reasons were given be associated with unhappiness, or does the department have employment equity targets? If so, what are the relevant details? What are the plans to get more colored females into the senior to top management? Thanks, Chair.
I must say, before the department responds to the question, that this is one of the departments that it's got more than any other department, more women in the senior positions. But I'm going to leave it to the HOD to respond. HOD?
Thank you, Chairperson. My picture tells 1,000 words, and our organogram photo indicates the diversity in our senior management team, but it does cascade down to the department as a whole. The questions that Member Lily asked relates to Part D, and that is on the HR matters. So I'll ask Mr. Vivek to give a comprehensive response. We have an infographic on that as well. But through you, Chairperson, do we then continue and go to that part of the annual report?
Yes, let's continue. We are done with the annual report. Just want answers for those questions. I presented the whole book.
Okay, 100%. Chairperson, the department is very well represented. Africans is 25.5%, colors is 55.5%, whites are 12.1%, and Indians 0.25%, 0.025%. The current employment stats means that the colors at this moment is overrepresented. Women is also overrepresented at this moment in time. They are 52% versus 48% for males. It should be 50%. And then on our disabilities, we've got 3.3% against a target of 2%. So we are doing very well in terms of our representativity, and we're working on it to get it even better. At this moment in time, we cannot put people out of service if there's an over-representativity, but we take that into account when we do advertise and when we do appoint. The vacancy rate is 3.6%. That is mostly due to administrative positions that we don't fill, due to where we try to allocate more funding towards the line functions, and you will see that there's only 2 positions vacant under program 3 and 2 under program 2 as well. That is where the line functions are. So with the current constraints on COE, it will not be wise to fill vacancies at this moment in time. That is not critical, and we look at that. Yeah, I think that covers all the questions that the member asked. Thank you.
Thank you very much, HOD. Member Lily is still a hand or is an old hand? Because I heard you when you were saying.
Still a hand, Chair. It's still a hand, yeah. It's a hand, Chair.
Okay. Over to you, Honorable Member.
Yes, still, Chair, around the issue of the employment. The last, okay. The other question, Chair, would be on paragraph 112. Did the department make any attempts to try and renew the contract of HOD, especially given the scarcity of African HODs in the province? Why did 3 officials not sign performance agreement? What are the reasons for not filling the post? When did the post become vacant? In what positions were these 2 employees on? Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Is that your last question or do you still have some? Because you can ask all your questions now. Then the department will answer all of them at once. Honorable Member Lily. I'm going to take it. Yeah, if you have another questions, what I'm saying is that just ask all those questions so that the department can answer you. And then, okay. Do you still have some questions?
Yes, I still have, Chair.
Okay, the platform is all yours, Honorable Member. Just ask all those questions as a brief.
Thanks very much, Chair. My other question, Chair, is what documents were forged and what was the intended purpose? What are the details of the bribe or fraud, misconduct, and what measures have been put in place to prevent reoccurrence and what are the details of the grievances and how were they resolved? What are the details of the dispute of the disputes? And Part C, Chair, what are the reasons for these illegal invasions and what work is the department doing to address the root cause? What are the details of these cases? 84, the last paragraph there, Chair. What are the details of PFS investigations that took place? Can the committee be furnished with reports of all the investigations that took place? Can the committee be furnished with the detailed report of these inspections? What are some of these issues that were picked up? Part E, what are the details and update of land claim lawsuits? 194, paragraph 194. How was the department incurred and why was it written off? What are the details of these private enterprises and how many subsidies were fraudulently held in trust? 201, paragraph. What are the details of the matter hosting Sea Farms Foundation versus the Premier and the MEC Yeah, I think I will stop there, Chair.
Okay, that's all your questions, Honorable Member.
Chair, not all, Chair. Can I proceed?
Honorable
With few
Member,
last
continue. You still how many left?
Can the committee
join the meeting on time?
What are the details and updates? Yes, I've asked also that question. And yeah, no, those are the questions, Chairperson. I'm done, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member.
Madam Chair, are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here. Sorry, Honorable Minister. I saw Member Maran. Member Maran, is your hand not working? I see you are flickering.
Yeah, Chair, no, Chair. I just wanted you to rule the Honorable America out of order. This meeting is scheduled from 8 o'clock until 1 o'clock, so there's many time to ask questions. Many time
Oh,
left.
I didn't hear him. Whoever who was out of order is out of order. I rule across the board. Minister, I recognize you.
No, thank you, Madam Chair. One of the questions which Member Lily asked referred, I do believe, on the appointment process of the HOD, but also he was reflecting on the former HOD and why his contract was not renewed. I do believe Member Lily asked a question earlier in the year, and I think the latter part of last year as well, but because we have time until 1 o'clock, Madam Chair, I do believe I'll answer that question thoroughly as well. Madam Chair, the previous HOD's contract came to an end. A decision was made, as you would have seen, all other departments are doing the same as well, or have done. We then went out to actually ask for possible candidates who are interested to form part of a process. A number of applications were then received. A panel was appointed, which had looked at all the applications. A framework was set so we could do shortlisting, Madam Chair, and after that, the shortlisted individuals was ultimately then forwarded a test to do, a presentation to prepare as part of the interview session. They were sent for psychometric evaluation tests as well. After that, Madam Chair, because I was part of the panel which appointed the HOD, we were a panel that consisted out of myself, 2 other provincial ministers. We had CSC members present, and we also had the acting DG at that stage present. Obviously, I chaired the panel which led the interview process for the Department of Human Settlements. Madam Chair, we had a number of applicants that were shortlisted. Ultimately, each panel member gave scores. After the scoring was completed, it was captured onto a central system, which ultimately then gave us, according to the panel, those that had the authority to score, to then ultimately see the ranking in order 1, 2, 3, and 4 and downwards. Like I said, there was a number of applicants. After that, Madam Chair, we had the psychologist which assisted with the psychometric tests came in. They would then give a report on each of the shortlisted candidates. Once that was completed, we then, as the panel, did a recommendation to Cabinet on who needs to be appointed. Ultimately, the outcome of the interviews was that the former HOD did not finish at number 1. But in transparency, we also informed the non-successful ones that they were not successful. And ultimately, then Member Lily, an offer was then, once Cabinet approved the shortlisted ranking individual was number 1, who was Ms. Jacqueline Sampson. offer was then given through to it, either accept or decline. She then had a specific time frame within which she had to then accept our offer to her. That came back to Cabinet, Member Lily. Once that was concluded, Member Lily, we ultimately then she was appointed as the new HOD. During the transitional period, Member Lily, with the previous HOD, he was with us until the end of December last year. He then did a transfer and handover process to the incumbent, or the HOD elect as she was called, because both were still in the system at that stage, Member Lily. Member Lily, obviously, when an HOD is appointed, we look at the quality of the pool that applies. Then ultimately CSC then concluded the process. And I really do hope, Madam Chair, that I've explained this now very thoroughly, how this process works of appointing the HOD, and all departments follow this process. But if Member Lily would love my response in writing, I would do that as well. I don't mind answering questions of the member because he does ask insightful questions. This is one such a question, because I do believe if all members understand the process of the appointment of HODs is a good example, then ultimately moving into the future, that they will also understand that as a provincial government and as the provincial ministers, we do adhere to the processes. But I can give Member Lily the assurance that the due processes were followed, and ultimately even the former HOD accepted the outcome of that process. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you, HOD.
Thank you, Chairperson. There are still some outstanding questions of Member Lily. Some of it is should be referred to SCOPA, and because it's difficult for us to follow the questions and the reference made to the annual report, can I request to you, Chairperson, that Member Lily submits the full list of questions and we can respond more comprehensively, because it's very difficult for us to follow where it is in the annual report and which specific references are made to the information in the annual report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, I think that was the last batch of the questions. Is there any clarity or any addition or any comment that honorable members want to make? Honorable America? Any clarity? There's nothing. I don't see any hand. I'm going to hand over to the HOD before Minister for the closing remarks. HOD.
Thank you, Chairperson. I think we were very comprehensive in our responses, and I want to assure the members as Oversight Committee that we acknowledge the budget cuts and we're adjusting our delivery model accordingly, but also taking the realities of the situation on the ground. We're also considering that when we're looking at our business plan, and therefore the protest actions, we don't react to the protest actions, but we do respond to them by communicating with the communities and providing information. We're also specifically looking at the most deserving, and a lot of the protest action is now relating to backyarders and how we're addressing those communities that's now on the waiting list. So a lot of our focus on beneficiary selection is around how do we ensure that the most deserving receives a housing opportunity, and we're also looking at those housing opportunities or the form, whether it's a service site or top structure or sustainable building unit, how we respond to the realities on the ground at the moment. So we'll deliver what we set out in our current financial year, following the 2 adjustments we had, and we'll also like to table the detail around our adjustment budget to the committee at some stage, because we had to make specific adjustments based on the budget cuts, but also just on the context in which we find ourselves, and especially around construction companies, businesses not being able to recover from lockdown. So all of that we are taking into consideration going forward to the next financial year, and while we're in the process of finalising our business plan. Our focus is largely on affordable housing market and looking at expanding that delivery for that market, because we do acknowledge that the municipalities are also not able to sustain these lower income and subsidised housing, because it does place a further burden on the economy. So the year under review, Chairperson, we've learned lessons from that, and we've taken that forward in the current year, and also in finalising next year's targets and business plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, HOD. I did a mistake before I allow Minister to come in. I'm going to ask if there's any public member that would want to ask the questions or make a comment or seek any clarity. The time is now to do that. If you don't have a hand, you can just, okay, I see Honorable Member America.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Chair, it will be remiss of me to acknowledge the department for their performance. It's this new regime, their first financial year, and they have done extremely well. And we can only have the expectation that they will do better for the years ahead. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. With that said, I'm not seeing any hands raised, so I'm going to hand over for the closing remarks from Minister Simmers. Over to you, Minister.
No, thank you very much, Madam Chair. And once again, as we reflect on the year that has gone by, I do believe the fundamental building blocks of moving into the current financial year and even future financial years was being prepared for us without us knowing, Madam Chair. And if you look at our year under review, it has also taught us the importance of strengthening our working relationships and partnerships with the private sector further, and the NGO sector, but also with our other spheres of government, Madam Chair, because if COVID-19 has shown us that we can only do things at an accelerated pace if we do it together. Madam Chair, I do believe moving forward after today's presentation, our private sector partners and even the human settlements in the sector has always and consistently asked for policy clarity. And as a provincial government and provincial department, when we do prepare for our budget that will be tabled in March next year, Madam Chair, policy clarity and direction will be of a prime focus for us on where we are heading. Certain shifts are being made because we do need to understand that if we talk about strengthening our partnerships with local government and the private sector, that focusing on the gap market or the FLIS market will play a huge role in us contributing to the success and the financial sustainability of the local governments due to the massive impact that COVID-19 has had on them. Madam Chair, COVID obviously in the current financial year has had an impact on our planned outreach programs that was to focus on women and youth in construction sector. We will seek to roll out this program or outreach program in the new year, because obviously now the use of technology has been tested and seen as a definitive bridge to reach a specific target market, and for us it will be women and youth, because we do want to see more women and youth in the construction sector, but with emphasis on them playing their part and taking the first steps, ensuring that they are on the local municipalities' LED database Madam Chair, and that all their paperwork is actually in place when these opportunities are created for them. Because we do want to empower women and youth, but we should not forget persons with disability, Madam Chair, who are also part of our broader community of stakeholders. Madam Chair, ultimately, even though the title deed restoration grant lapses at the end of March, and with funding, current funding being in municipalities still, we will now seek to focus and listening to the questions by the members on drafting and finalizing the database for title deeds so we can actually accurately answer your questions pertaining to historical title deed backlogs. Which are the difficult ones? Can they be resolved? If not, why not? Where land belongs to a national department? How we are going to embark on ensuring that we do actually get the power of attorney and ultimately so that we can finalize the right of ownership. I mean, you've utilized the Tiavataskloof area is a good example where they are struggling to do the transfer of title deeds because the land belongs to the National Department of Public Works, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, with the announcement of the National Minister and also the directive to all provinces, at least this department had foresight months in advance, and we have been working on what we will call the Enhanced Service Site Program for the Western Cape. And when we do the tabling of our budget in March, we will go into a lot more thorough detail on how this will work, Madam Chair, because this will be our province's contribution to the Rapid Land Release Program. Madam Chair, because we do see opportunity in that, but I do need to emphasize as the executive authority in the province that it will still be focused on those on the housing demand database. We can't allow people who are not on the housing demand database and have invaded land to dictate to government how to do and try to capitalize on this program. But ultimately, Madam Chair, we will try to find solutions for those who do live in informal settlement areas, who will never quite qualify for state subsidy. But once again, their partnerships with the private sector and the NGO sector are crucial, but also with the local government, Madam Chair. And last but not least, Madam Chair, let me take this opportunity to firstly thank my HOD and the team, all the district teams, for what they've managed to accomplish in the year for review. That's under review, Madam Chair. But also, Madam Chair, I wish to thank my head of ministry and the staff. It's been a very difficult year. Once you take over from your predecessor to try and roll out your programs through the ministry, and they've really walked this journey along with me for this year. Long hours, and I do believe we are starting to see that by working hard and shifting our sails together with the department, we have ensured that this provincial department is actually on the correct course in speaking to the living reality of the people of this province. But I think last but not least, Madam Chair, it's to you and each member of the standing committee for the role that you play. You do hold us accountable. You do partake on our district outreaches as far as possible. But ultimately, you ask questions that really delve deep into our functionality as a department. You do highlight some of our shortfalls, which we then try to address in a specific financial. And I think that's the crucial part of oversight, Madam Chair. It's to ensure that we get the best out of the department, that you hold me as the executive authority accountable, but ultimately that the qualifying beneficiaries of this province reap the benefit of us working better together, Madam Chair. And I do wish you all a blessed festive season, but kindly a safe and COVID-safe festive season, Madam Chair, because as we prepare for the new year, let us focus on safety, restoring the dignity of our people, but creating job opportunities to ensure that our community out there, Madam Chair, can say that this government is effective and efficient and governs in the interests of all its people. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Minister, for the kind words, and to the department, the leadership of the HOD, to my favorite CFO, to Mepila, and the rest of the department, those that I didn't call your names, but I know you all. Thank you very much, and thanks for engaging with us on behalf of the Standing Committee. Thanks for coming all the time and answering those questions, whether being written questions or oral questions or engagement in the committee. Sometimes we ask questions, one and the same question again and again in the committees, even in the annual reports, but it's because we care, and you have to accept that we are a family already, you know, where our hearts are. So thank you very much, HOD, through your leadership to make the department available to us as we ask those questions that we get from our communities. Honorable members, thank you very much also for your contribution, for your oversight role that makes the HOD sometimes not to sleep, wondering what is coming tomorrow. I appreciate that. You're doing well on my behalf, but I'm going to ask the members if there is something that they want to say to the department before I allow them to leave. Member Heron, let me start with you.
No, thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Member Maran.
Thank you, Chair, but I will leave it over to the Honourable Lily.
Member Lily, over to you. Honourable Lily. Okay. Member Andrikas.
Nothing from my side, thank you, Chair. Chair, are we going to stay on for resolutions?
Yes, honourable members, for the resolutions we have to stay on. So I think there's not. Member America, you already said your piece, ne?
I'm good. All good, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. For the officials and everyone, Minister, enjoy your festive seasons. Be safe. Now we don't talk about driving only, we talk about your safety, wear your mask, sanitize, stay away from travel, and try to stay home and enjoy your families. Thank you very much. You may leave or you can sit and listen to our resolutions if you choose to, but other than that, go well. Honorable members, stay put. We have some minutes we have to approve and we need to do the resolutions. Thank you. Okay, honorable members, can we start with the resolutions before we do the minutes, we approve the minutes? Any resolutions, Shumis? What did you pick up?
Basically, I picked up a recommendation that the department provide a breakdown of the value of the warrants that they've depicted in the annual report. That was the one. The second one was to provide more information on the status of the Tenova housing project. And then to provide us with a title deed backlog and the etc. that goes with it, as well as the pre-1994 title backlog statistics.
Okay. I heard also those three. Member Van der Westhuizen, is there anything else you want to add?
Chair, thank you. Apart from generally, oversight, exercising oversight over the department, I would like us to focus next year on the backlog in terms of title deeds, which seems to be an ongoing problem, and the magnitude of it is really immense. So I would appreciate it if we could keep that on our future agendas.
Okay, I didn't get that. I think I was cut off a little bit. Shumis, did you hear?
I was just going to ask, should I then place it as we request a briefing on that backlog instead of requesting reports on it?
Yeah, I was cut off a bit. I didn't hear honorable member. That's why I was asking you. Honorable member, can you repeat again because I was cut off? Sorry.
Yes, Chairperson, it's just a proposal that we adopt as a resolution that we will come back in a number of months to the whole issue of the backlog of the transfer of title deeds.
Okay. Okay, we will do that. We will get the information as they propose that. They will send us the information, and then we will say, then we can engage to that after receiving the information. Is it okay that way?
All good, Chair.
Okay,
Agreed.
thank you. Member America, is there anything, Member Maran, for the resolutions that you have?
No,
Yeah,
no, Chair, I don't have. Just on the issue because I think Shamise was asking whether we should only have it maybe as an agenda item next year. But I think you have clarified it by saying no, the information must also be provided and it must be put on the agenda for further discussions. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Member America?
Thank you, Chair. Related to the Housing Tribunal, that a schedule of hearings per member and the remuneration of two members to be provided to us. Oh, finally. So did you get that one, Chair?
No, I didn't get that one.
I'll just repeat. As far as the Housing Tribunal is concerned, a schedule of the remuneration earned by members and the number of hearings each member attended.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that one, and also the breakdown of the warrants here. They said they're going to give us the breakdown. They will report it on the breakdown. So if we can request that 1.01 million for the warrants, they can say what was it for. The warrant was for what in the simpler terms.
Can I add another, Chair?
Yeah.
As far as travel is concerned, in terms of the backlog of cases, can they provide us a schedule of the category of cases? What kind of disputes are outstanding and, yeah, that.
Okay. Shamise, you have captured that?
Yes, I've got that.
Okay, so Member van der Westhuizen?
Yes, Chair, and if I could add to what Honourable America has proposed, that we also get an age analysis then of those cases.
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll do that. Is that all, honourable members? If that's it, thank you very much. We can continue now on the consideration and adoption of the draft committee minutes as we received. Can I present to you, Shamise, the first one, which one? Is it the visit, oversight visit that took place the 17th to the 19th? Or we are going to start with the 27th?
You can advise, Chairperson. I can just put the slide on.
Okay, let's start with the visit, the oldest, which is the visit.
Please advise if you want me to scroll through or if you've already looked at this particular report.
Pardon?
You can scroll.
That scroll, Shamise, scroll so that I can see. Okay. Scroll down. Okay. Again. Okay, honorable members. There it is. I present to you the draft report of the oversight visit.
I propose that we adopt.
Honorable America.
I propose that we
Okay.
adopt the report.
Okay, Member America, propose that we adopt. Any seconder? Honorable members.
Well, even if I was not there for the
seconded.
Thanks, Chair. No, even I was not there for the last day, Chair. I have participated in the biggest part of that particular visit,
Yeah.
Chair. Therefore,
So,
Chair, I will second the proposal to adopt.
okay. Okay, thank you very much, Member Maran. Seconded by Member Maran. Let's move to another one, Shumis. Can we take the 14th of October?
Chair, under paragraph 3 of the 14th, there's just a spelling mistake of Badenhorst. The surname appears on a few occasions in the minutes. Sometimes it's spelled Badenhorst. Also, when the attendees were listed at the beginning, but as you will see there, just before paragraph 4, it says Badenhorst. So perhaps it just be changed also in paragraph 1, I think, with the attendees.
Okay, Shumis, scroll up.
And with those changes, I would then propose that we adopt.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Can I get a seconder to the adoption of those minutes?
I second,
Okay,
Chair.
thank you very much, Honorable. Thank you, Member America, seconding. Can we move to the 27th of November?
I thought we approved that one already as the first one, Chair. Shumis would be able to.
We started with the 17th to the 19th.
Oh, thank you.
And then we came to the 14th. Now we are on the 27th.
Yeah, Chair, this was the
which is the
second adjustment appropriation bill that we have dealt with, Chair.
Yeah, so if we can adopt that. Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Proposal by Member Maran and seconder. Seconding Member Maran.
Microphone on. I will support.
Member Andrikas. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. What is still outstanding? My favorite procedural officer. Shumis, can we also consider the adoption for the committee program? Okay, we already did that. The February, our next meeting is going to be February, Neshumis? Yeah, February 2021.
That's correct, Ms. Masay. We're also looking at the oversight visit for the Overberg region. Yeah.
Okay. Now, thank you very much, honorable members. Can we adopt our program? Keep that in mind that if there might be something that crops up, then we can be able to change to slot in what is of the urgent matter to our program.
Support.
Thank you very much, honorable member van der Westhuizen. Seconder.
Support.
Thank you very much, Member Maran. And we are done with the resolutions. I think that it's all for today. Shumis, is there something that is still outstanding?
No, nothing. This report of today will be adopted in the new year.
Okay. I just want to, before I thank everyone, give over to Member van der Westhuizen. Over to you, sir.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Chair, just from my side, I want to say thank you very much to Shumis for her support, but particularly to you for your leadership in this year. And I trust that you will have a wonderful time and that there will be some rest to you as well.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Is there any other member that wants to?
Yes, Chair.
Okay, Member Maran, then Member America.
Chair,
Over to
also
you.
from my side, we want to thank yourself and members of this committee, whether full or alternate members who participated through this year. It was a very difficult year. We also like to thank the IT staff, Candace and Siraj, Chair, because this is a first experience for us, and some of us have basically learned a lot at these MST meetings and so forth and so forth. So, Chair, for all of us, we must enjoy our holidays. People are saying it's festive outside. We must be careful, Chair. The resurgence of this pandemic. Chair, if possible, stay at home and enjoy time with your families, Chair. So just from my side, happy holidays for all of us. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Honorable America.
Chair, from my side, I'd like to endorse the well wishes of my colleagues, and I hope that we will return next year energized and with renewed commitment to do our tasks, the privileged tasks we have, as effectively and as efficiently as possible. Thank you, Chair, for your leadership and your patience with us, and for you and your family. May you have a blessed Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Member. Members, thanks for your participation. Thanks for asking those difficult questions, and thanks for being sport. And this is one standing committee that we always team, irrespective of the color affiliation. Your passion for your communities is always showcased in this standing committee. So I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. And to our support staff, Candice, Siraj, Shumis, you are our rock. Johan, we know you are behind the curtains in support for Shumis. Thank you also for everything that you do in contributing for us to run this committee as smoothly as possible, because you guys, you are our petrol in here, you are our oil and our grease and our everything. So we really salute you and appreciate you. And the members, I wouldn't be a chairperson if there were no members. So thank you for being the members and being that wind always under our wings to make sure we fly smoothly together throughout the year. It's been a very tough year for each and every one of us. It's been a tough year for the country, for the province. I can only say that all we need is prayers as we stay now to make sure that people that are affected, that are out there, they are being taken care of and they survive this pandemic. So with that being said, have happy holidays, enjoy your families. Next year is going to be a rough year. You need to take a break and just reflect, and also take care of yourself. Let this time be your time, God willingly, but also take care of your communities out there. Thank you. With that said, the meeting is adjourned. Happy holidays.